Hey, everybody, anybody who's going to join. I don't see anybody in there yet, but okay. I know y'all aren't expecting me to go live, and hey, I debated for a hot minute whether to do so or not. I actually tried doing a pre record because that way I wouldn't have to do a live, and I am not good with having to talk to a camera that doesn't have an audience on the other side of it. Like, I don't know. It's like double the work. So I don't even go there. I tried. Anyway, so I decided to go live because I ran across something and it floored me. Totally floored me. Let me see. I do have a little music playing in the background. Let me know if it bothers you. Hey, just call me Kim. Hey, Divergent. Hey. So good to see you guys. Glad y'all are here. Oh, yeah. So did y'all know that there was I don't know if I've had my damn head in the sand. How did I miss this? There was another shooting in Arizona, you know. Let's see, let me find a man shot and killed at church by police in Queen Creek. I'm like, okay, it's an LDS church though. So I don't know much about it. I just actually ran across it. I was gonna go, I tried doing a pre-record for the Tim Ballard MKUltra question. And then I saw this right before, and it happened on October 8th. The man shot at the LDS church. Actually, I want to say, wait, let me not get ahead of myself. Okay. Let me not even get ahead of myself. But yeah. All right. Let me just hush. Let me hush and try to see. Hey, Kelly. How you doing? Hey, Michelle. Good to see you, girl. Good to see you. Hey, Jesse Roblin. Good to see you. Hey, Diamond Dave. Yay. How late is it over there? Because it's like right at noon, well, almost 1 o'clock here, p.m. in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Anyways, all right, let me stop gabbing here and share my screen. I don't know which one y'all want to do first. They both want. Okay, so the Tim Ballard one. Again, okay, so let me turn the damn music off. It's bothering me. How about that? All right, let's see. Hush. Okay. Hey, Justice Jane. I'm so glad to see you. Hey, Angel. It is different, I'll tell you that. Look who's in the middle of the day, Fancy Nancy, I know. Surprises, right? Don't give up on me. Okay, now let me try and share my screen again. So I'm gonna try to explain it. I'm gonna go over the Tim Ballard stuff first because I can kind of get that out the way. Let's see right here. Well, you're just gonna see this for right now, but I mean, y'all know I work on these slides and stuff from my Canva app, and nothing fancy. So the other day last night I was listening to, I've never even heard of these people. Okay. Never, not one time. And I was listening to it in the background, and I was working on, uploading some images or whatever into my Canva app. And as I was doing that, it was about Tim Ballard, and so there's this one right here, and it's from one of the lawsuits. There's amended lawsuits and all that jazz. So I uploaded this because this is that screenshot that was included within one of the lawsuits, and it's just really light, and I'm just a stickler for, I don't know, things. I like things to look nice, but so I transferred it and I did like this. You can tell a difference, right? I lifted the text off of the screen, off of the screenshot. So I could do that. And then I did it like this. And I'm just showing you this so you can see how it lifts off that page, how it lifted off that page, right? And so then I can kind of do like that with the text. Then I put it like this. And I started to read it. And at the same time, that video I was just telling you about was playing in the background. And it just, I don't know if it's because of what they were talking about. And I was just kind of, I don't know, in that mode, or I have no idea. I'm going to pull that up real quick. The talk. Okay. Try and let you know where I was at here. I feel better if I explain it. And so they started talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, and it just kind of struck me. Let me grab the transcript. And this YouTube channel is Christian E. White. Again, don't know. And it says Dark Truths and Hidden Powers Dave column, which I've never heard of, on Zionism, trafficking, and the global lie machine. Anyways, nothing big. Let me let's see. Hold on. So sorry. Okay. I think it's around here. All right. So I'm just going to play it and then I'll kind of tell you where it kind of struck me. And I was like, holy crap.
David did an amazing interview where he pried out of her that it was David Rockefeller. Now, you won't be able to see, you can see this, your audience won't be able to see this, but they can do the experiment. Charlie Kirk, a family man, right? If there was ever a family man, it is Charlie Kirk. Find a picture of Charlie Kirk that shows his children's faces. Now, if you, for example, look at
this one,
he's like, bam. No,
I don't
it's probably not.
I don't know who that is.
It's probably not even the kid. Maybe not.
Well,
it's irrelevant.
What you do is if you go to, that's the first I've ever seen that was even a candidate. But all these others, the kids are facing away. And once in a while, you'll see one where the kid's facing, and they Photoshop a hat over the kid's face. Now, you say, so people I've said this to say, well, they're protecting their children. I go, but these photos are being taken by other people. These photos are not selfies.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence, you find one with like a MAGA hat photoshopped right over one of the girls' faces and stuff like that. But so I did the control experiment. I said, okay, let's search Candace Owens' children, right? You can't, you don't even have to do it. Her children's faces are all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You have no trouble spotting them, right? There we go, right? So then the question becomes, is it possible? This is about as wacky a theory as I can come up with, but I'm not letting it go until someone convinces me. What if the children are props?
And I was like, oh my God.
They're going through airports. They're famous. They're going from gig to gig to gig to gig, day after day after day. I mean, the guy was a tireless crusader for whatever it is he was crusading. And the question is, was no one taking photos of these kids and putting them online? Someone said, you can hire people to scrub everything offline that you want to. So that's maybe the explanation. But when you add it all together, I am left with a sense that we don't know who Charlie and Erica were. And that troubles me.
Mm-hmm.
There are no breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
or little,
they're really ghosts. Her mother is about the only one, and then this guy named Montgomery, who, again, I'm not an investigative reporter. I am reading investigative reporters, so I'm sort of second derivative. So I could just have it wrong. But that's a dark story. So what happened? Did they do it to say don't turn against us? Because it seems to have backfired. Netanyahu's denied assassinating him something like 3 times now. Since when does a president have to go public and deny assassinating a guy? And now you've got all the talking heads who are clearly on payroll saying you're a complete idiot if you think he got assassinated by Israel. You're not a complete idiot if that's on your bingo card. Doesn't mean it's true.
We need bingo cards.
But it's sort of like saying I think the CIA assassinated Kennedy, or I think the mob assassinated. There's these various potential candidates. Now the problem with Charlie Kirk is there are not many other contenders besides the nutty guy who's really hit. That story's been blown out of the water, in my opinion. There is nothing left of that story. It is in tatters.
Y'all are gonna want to hear this.
The third possibility is if they really weren't assigned marriage, maybe it was planned that he would be martyred.
Martyred.
I'm sure Charlie didn't plan it, but maybe if the whole thing was because look at that ceremony, right? What was that? How many days after he got killed? It was like
2 weeks or something like that, or 3 weeks, or
less than that, I think. But he could you put together that ceremony? I mean, if you put the Rolling Stones in Cardinal Stadium, could you have it ready in 10 days?
And do the fireworks and have all those people ready to speak?
Tasteless looking. My email box is nonstop TPUSA email fundraisers.
So they go back and forth, talking about just all the things, right? A lot of questions that a lot of us have raised. Maybe some of us have never raised any. I don't know. There are some who don't question anything. But so all that was just kind of playing in the background. Okay. Which is nothing abnormal for me. Okay. That's what I do. And it just like struck me. And I remember running to, as soon as I got the idea, I ran straight to my chat GPT and I was like, okay, let me try and put this. And I try to do it hypothetical so that I don't run into any issues with my damn, chat GPT. Okay. It'll be like, I'm sorry, that violates our guidelines. I get that all the time. And I'm like, I have to talk about murder and bad stuff, like, what do you do? So I put hypothetical question. So this is what I thought of when he was talking about, and I maybe should have let that video play, but I don't know how much it interests you or not. But I said, what are we to make of this transcript from a lawsuit filed against Tim Ballard that revealed a possible / alleged psychological relationship or session or experiment that resembles an MKUltra programming technique that could potentially be training Tim Ballard to become a future prophet and president to usher in the second coming of Christ? And I put like totally hypothetical, no allegations are being made by anyone at all. It just dawned on me that this transcript resembles something similar to that alleged covert method / project, in my opinion. And then it's and so then I copied and pasted everything that was here, I copied and pasted it into my chat GPT right here. So this is my question, and then it says, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should have pulled up. Hold on. I'll let that video play while I look for this other thing. Let's go back to here. So hold on.
At one point, it looked like they were going to try to shove Ben Shapiro into the lead position, which in terms of prominent conservatives, that's logical, but the Israel did it. That doesn't really work anymore, right? That actually becomes a fundamental problem. Ben Shapiro took over TPUSA. The other thing is he's not likable. Ben is brilliant. And I, for example, intentionally listen to Ben articulate arguments because if anyone can convince me of something.
All right, I found it. Because I screen recorded this, and I don't know why it doesn't give me the option to do that right now in my chat GPT. But anyway, so this is what it's just reading what I just shared, the chat GPT page that I shared with you. So,
this is a deeply layered hypothetical question.
Now, let me set the stage though. So think about Tom Harrison. Think about his line of work. Think about how he has relationships whether it be friendships or professional with the brethren, higher ups in the church. Think about how he would meet with Chad and Julie to teach, quote unquote, teach them how to remote view, which is they call it portaling. Okay. And be serious. Like, let's really think about this, because this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. But it also really, really seems to be at the heart of it. And it could also apply to the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk situation and many others. Okay. I'm just saying, like Ruby, Jody, all these bad Mormons. Okay. Like, but mostly Tim. And it actually made me, for the first time, view Tim as a potential possible victim. Just like I've kind of felt the same way about Lori and Chad, like, and I probably also for Ruby and Jody, I don't know. Just these things, it's like hurt people, and it's generational. And I don't know. It resembles that for me. So just picture Tom Harrison in his office or wherever, meeting with Tim Ballard, telling him that, he's giving him priesthood blessings, saying, you're going to be the future prophet and president, and just kind of training or mentoring, whatever it be. Okay. And just think about what this is about to say now.
Analyzing the provided transcript through the lens of psychological programming or coercive influence is a fascinating intellectual exercise. Let's break down the elements of this text and explore what they might signify within the framework you've proposed. Based on the hypothetical premise that this transcript describes a technique resembling MKUltra style programming, here is a deep dive into its components. The setting and tools, creating a controlled dissociative state. The foundation of this alleged session is built on specific tools designed to alter consciousness and increase suggestibility. Ketamine treatments. This is the most critical element. Ketamine is a powerful dissociative anesthetic. Medically, it's used for anesthesia and, in smaller doses, for treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. Its psychoactive effects are profound. Dissociation. It creates a sense of detachment from one's body.
I saw that earlier, but I don't know what that, I thought you were just saying echo to somebody else. Is it echoing? Let me know. I definitely don't want to echo. I don't want to say SIRI. I see what you said though. I'm not trying to say it. Everybody's stuff goes off. Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm just seeing if I have an echo. Yes, an echo chamber. Are you serious? Okay. All right. I'll do that. I'll mute myself. I've never had these kind of sound issues before until the past like 3 times I've gone live. So my bad. Okay. Thank y'all. I mean, mute and
question. And analyzing the provided transcript through the lens of psychological programming or coercive influence is a fascinating intellectual exercise. Let's break down the elements of this text and explore what they might signify within the framework you've proposed. Based on the hypothetical premise that this transcript describes a technique resembling MKUltra style programming, here is a deep dive into its components. The setting and tools, creating a controlled dissociative state. The foundation of this alleged session is built on specific tools designed to alter consciousness and increase suggestibility. Ketamine treatments. This is the most critical element. Ketamine is a powerful dissociative anesthetic. Medically, it's used for anesthesia and, in smaller doses, for treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. Its psychoactive effects are profound. Dissociation. It creates a sense of detachment from one's body and reality, stepping outside of himself. This is a classic goal in depatterning subjects, to separate the conscious mind from its established identity and emotional anchors. Neuroplasticity and suggestibility. Ketamine is known to increase neuroplasticity, essentially making the brain more malleable and open to forming new connections and patterns of thought. In a controlled setting, this heightened suggestibility could theoretically be exploited to implant new beliefs, narratives, or even a new identity. Ultimate truth serum. The subject's perception that the drug allows him to speak uninhibited truth is key. If a subject believes they are accessing their own deepest, truest self, they will be far more likely to accept the thoughts and revelations that emerge during the session as authentic and divinely inspired, rather than as externally influenced suggestions. The presence of a scribe is highly significant. This individual is not merely a passive note-taker. In a programming context, their role could be multifaceted. The handler/witness, the scribe, acts as a guide and an anchor to the programmed reality. They are a witness who validates the experience, reinforcing its legitimacy for the subject. Creating a sacred text. The act of writing down the prophecies and pronouncements transforms them from ephemeral, drug-induced ramblings into a concrete, authoritative record. This transcript can then be used later for reinforcement, reminding the subject of their divine purpose and the truths they uncovered. It becomes a foundational document for the new persona. 2. The content. Forging a messianic identity. The content of the monologue and dialogue is not random. It appears to follow a structured narrative aimed at deconstructing an old self and constructing a new, grandiose one. Deconstruction and vulnerability. Forgive me, father and mother. What have I done to these people? Father, mother, please protect me. These phrases suggest a state of profound vulnerability, guilt, and a need for parental/divine protection. This is a common starting point in psychological manipulation. Break the subject down, induce a state of emotional distress and confusion, and make them feel a desperate need for guidance and security. This empties the vessel before it is refilled. The mention of Catherine's sister is also telling. It points to the possible surfacing of deep-seated personal memories or trauma, which can be a powerful tool for depatterning and creating emotional leverage over a subject. Construction of the new persona. The divine mandate. The subject isn't just having delusions of grandeur. He is allegedly receiving them from the ancient prophet Nephi, a figure of immense authority within his religious framework. This externalizes the ambition. It is not his ego, it is God's will delivered through a prophet. This reframes immense narcissism as divine destiny. The prophecies. The goals are specific and escalating, U.S. Senator to President to prophet of his own church. This is a clear, hierarchical path to ultimate power, combining temporal, political, and spiritual authority. Ushering in the second coming. This is the ultimate justification. The new persona's goal is not personal power but the fulfillment of cosmic, eschatological prophecy. It imbues the identity with a world-saving messianic purpose, making it incredibly resilient to criticism. Internalizing the new identity. With this freedom, I bring love and light. With this freedom, he effortlessly gives love and light. Notice the shift from the first person, I bring, to the third person, he effortlessly gives. This is a classic linguistic marker of dissociation, where the subject observes himself from the outside. In a programming context, this could represent the moment the new persona is being integrated and observed by the subject's consciousness. He is both the actor and the audience for his own transformation. 3. Parallels to MKUltra and coercive control. Viewing this hypothetically, the parallels to the alleged goals and methods of projects like MKUltra are striking. 1. Pharmacologically assisted hypnosis, using a powerful psychoactive drug, ketamine instead of LSD, to break down psychological defenses and induce a state of extreme suggestibility. 2. Identity erasure and replacement. The process appears to involve stripping away the old self through guilt, confession, and vulnerability, and implanting a new, highly specific and mission-oriented identity, the prophet president. 3. The role of the handler, the scribe, and Tom Harrison, who asks the probing question, "Who are you?" function as programmers or handlers, guiding the session, validating the results, and reinforcing the desired outcome. 4. Creating a triggerable persona. The goal of such programming is often to create a persona that can be activated. The created transcript, the memory of the divine communication, and the reinforced belief in his destiny could all serve as triggers to keep the subject aligned with his, quote, mission. Conclusion. What to make of it? Hypothetically, if this transcript is an accurate representation of a real event, it does not depict a simple therapy session or a private spiritual experience. It outlines a structured, pharmacologically assisted ritual designed to forge and install a messianic identity. It combines elements of narcissistic fantasy, the desire for ultimate political and spiritual power, religious ecstasy, using the language and figures of faith to grant divine authority, psychological technology, employing a dissociative drug, and a handler/scribe system to maximize psychological impact and install a new belief system. Within your hypothetical framework, this transcript could be interpreted as a blueprint for a modern, religiously themed psychological operation. It's an alleged attempt to program an individual to believe he is a divinely chosen leader, destined to wield immense power by systematically breaking down his existing psyche and rebuilding it around a core of manufactured prophecy. It is a chillingly efficient model for potentially creating a Manchurian candidate with a messianic complex.
Sorry, I couldn't get back over here fast enough. Holy shit, right? Okay. And I forgot to read you the damn thing from, hold on, let me go to it so I don't stutter. This thing. Additionally, like what the actual thing said, because that's what I did. I read it to, in my mind. I read it to myself, and then I was like, "Oh my god, it sounds like MKUltra." That's what sent me over to my Chat GPT anyways. So, I mean, just to read it real quick, okay? And I feel bad for doing it backwards. But right here, number 86. Additionally, Ballard would get ketamine treatments and have a scribe come in with him while he talked to the dead prophet Nephi and issued forth prophecies about Ballard's greatness and future as a United States Senator, President of the United States, and ultimately the prophet of Ballard's church. So this is their hand, this is from the screenshot. Well, yeah. To usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay, so he feels, so this screenshot right here, where, this, my arrow is, or mouse or whatever, he is stepping outside of himself. He is himself 100% while in K state. And there's those percentages again. While in K, ultimate truth serum, / can say all he needs to say. I bet. God speaks to him, says, I would assume this is Tom Harrison, maybe. I mean, I don't know who's jotting these down. A session, I would think it would be the one, initiating it. Asking God, Nephi, Tom Harrison, and angels. I think they got a glimpse of an actual programming session, right? Asking, what do I need to do? So he's asking God, Nephi, Tom, and angels, what do I need to do? Help to prepare himself. That's 2 separate lines, though. And then it says, forgive me, Father and Mother, which is creepy. It reminds me of Kohlberger, Father, Mother, Father, Mother. Oh my gosh, it's creepy. And then this really made me think about Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk's shirt had freedom on it, With this freedom, I bring love and light. With this freedom, he effortless gives love and light. And then down it says, in this freedom, I see and give the love and light to God's connection to the world. Why did you send me here? I just want to help people. What have I done to these people? Father, Mother, please protect me. Tom Harrison. Who are you? Redacted sister. Catherine. Okay, so I'm just like, oh my God, that sounds, I've done, like, when this lawsuit first came out, I hadn't really cracked into the MKUltra stuff, because I was just like, oh Lord, whatever, But then I always had that weird feeling that, like I could just picture Jason Mao, like when it came to my aunt, like her going to the temple all the time. What happened? Like something happened. Something did. I'm not saying that, I learned later after everything that she was the shitty person that everybody would come to know and learn. But, she wasn't this shitty. So it's like, what happened to her? I didn't know all that stuff till, like I didn't know about her past and her being a hellion, to Joe Ryan and I didn't know all that stuff, but so what I'm trying to say is, like, it's something still happened though. I feel like something still triggered her, or she snapped, like, just F this. I don't want kids or husband. I don't want a family anymore, and I would picture like Jason Mao being hiding somewhere in the temple and when those recordings came out of Lori and Melanie, and how Lori was just so excited, and she was saying, if he comes at you once, if he comes at you twice, if he comes at you 3 times, when she's saying all these things, and she was saying how she went and cried in the celestial room and yada yada yada, all the things, it just, I'm like an empath. Like I can visualize it. I can put myself there, like I can sense it and feel it and hear it. And anyways, without being weird or anything, just, I don't know. I just kind of am a visual person. And so I could just picture like Jason Mao with a walkie-talkie or something, or over a loudspeaker saying, "Hey, it's Moroni." That's just the mental image I got. And that image kind of suggests this type of manipulation. You know what I'm saying? Like suggestibility, making someone think that they're hearing somebody else. I don't know. I don't know. This is just me and my little theories. Okay. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. And they do sound programmed. We're ushering in the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's repetitive. But I have so many questions. That's why I was like, okay, I'll just save it and wait, till I go live the next time. And then I was like, no, it's going to lose its luster. Like I start diving way further into it. Then I can't remember. I can't find my starting point, to report to you guys, just to kind of fill you in, show you my thought process, so it just, it blew my mind. And so when you talk about, this is a deeply layered hypothetical question, and analyzing the provided transcript through the lens of psychological programming or coercive influence is a fascinating intellectual exercise. Let's break down the elements of this text. Okay. And explore what they might signify within the framework you've proposed. Based on the hypothetical premise that this transcript describes a technique resembling MKUltra style programming, here is a deep dive into its components. I just kind of want to go over these because I have questions. It says the foundation of this alleged session is built on specific tools, which makes me think of Chad Daybell and his damn pendulum, I mean, I don't know. Like, did Tom maybe program Julie and Chad, and then they can program? Like, I don't know how this works. That's what I'm saying. I'm still newer into this, even this concept, So I've read quite a few interesting things that people have put out. But most of them are considered, MKUltra victims are usually not taken seriously. So it's considered the fringe or the deep state, or these things we don't talk about, these things that can't possibly be happening because, they don't happen. They don't happen. Let me scooch up here. I mean, new research finds CIA used Black Americans as drugs experiment guinea pigs. I mean, this has been around for quite a while now. And some of these projects have been declassified for a while now as well. When Lori and them were talking about the vibrations and everything, I had found that in the CIA.gov reading room thing, and it actually let me lift, like it had redactions. I don't know what. I don't know if I hope I don't get in trouble. CIA put it out, is what I'm saying. All I did was, I saw the little redaction boxes, and I hit it on accident, I want to say, and it unredacted it. I was like, oh shit. Anyways, which was interesting, but it was talking about these vibrations and all this weird. I say weird because I was just like, what? Anyways, it's a wild but fascinating subject that affects every one of us. There's not one of us that are immune to this. Okay? Not one of us can say that it's never touched us or affected us or someone we love even. And it pisses me off a great deal. And I'm sure that's what they don't want is a whole bunch of people being tested and manipulated and influenced and corrupted, controlled. They don't want that. They don't want that to get out. And that's why they are the way they are, I think. But all right. The setting and tools created the settings and tools creating a controlled dissociative state. The foundation of this alleged session is built on specific tools designed to alter consciousness and increase suggestibility. Why? Is this common practice for a therapist? I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure. Ketamine treatments. This is the most critical element. Ketamine, is a powerful dissociative anesthetic. Medically, it's used for anesthesia and in smaller doses for treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. People will say, well, Tim says he's ex-CIA, and which, is questionable. We've learned since then that that's likely not the case. But he also worked for Department of Homeland Security, and anybody who's been and I'm talking about the bullshit lies I believe he was feeding everyone, okay? He was this hero when he really is only just an actor, legitimate actor, okay? He's acting. That's what all these actors are doing, is acting. This is their stage. We are their audience. And that is what I have come to the conclusion of. And, sure, they're real people, but they have a job to do, and it's to act. So it says its psychoactive effects are profound. And so it does leave DEA.gov source and Northwestern Medicine. Dissociation. It creates a sense of detachment from one's body and reality, stepping outside of himself. That's in quotes. This is the classic goal in depatterning subjects to separate the conscious mind from its established identity and emotional anchors. Why would you want to do that? Again, I don't know how much of this is just common practice and how much is, specific and targeted, like you go in with a job, Neuroplasticity and suggestibility. Ketamine is known to increase neuroplasticity, essentially making the brain more malleable and open to forming new connections and patterns of thought, which could be helpful, right? In a controlled setting, this heightened suggestibility could theoretically be exploited. This made me think of satanic ritual abuse survivors, okay? And how it always comes down to memory and how memories were recovered, blah, 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 right? Is it possible that therapists are in on this too? Because it says this heightened suggestibility could theoretically be exploited to implant new beliefs, okay? Narratives, or even a new identity, a whole new identity. Is this where we get, what's his alter ego, something black? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this? Is this James and Elena? Is this Raphael? Is this all those James the Just and Lust? And I'm just asking serious questions. Ultimate truth serum. The subject's perception that the drug allows him to speak uninhibited. Uninhibited. I just stuttered. Truth is key. If a subject believes they are accessing their own deepest, truest self, they will be far more likely to accept the thoughts and revelations that emerge during the session as authentic and divinely inspired, rather than as externally influenced suggestions. So this leads me back to Um, was Lori really talking to what she thought was Moroni? And I don't know if Lori ever met with Tom. I know there was that Bishop Shumway, which interesting side note. I was watching coverage, just different people covering the Charlie Kirk thing, and come to find out Phil Lyman's houses are behind UVU on the street where they so happened that body cam or the camera footage that went to TMZ, because TMZ is so credible. Of Tyler Robinson. So that's Phil Lyman's family. Like, that's his house. My family owned a bunch of land on one road. Like, this side was a Trahan side, this side was everybody else, So, I mean, I understand. But right there behind UVU, right there, just happened to catch Tyler Robinson, walking or whatever. And then there's there's someone named Shumway. And I'm like, shut the hell up. Shumway? Oh, no. That on the same street or something. Phil Lyman, Shumway. And I'm like, that was in the FOIA docs. That was in text messages. Actually, that was in Lori's phone, saved as one of Chad Daybell's burner phone numbers. Bishop Shumway is what she had programmed into the phone. Okay. And I'm just like, alrighty. Anyways, I wonder, and I mean, I was already questioning, like, because there's lots of things that I've seen in some other cases, especially the Tyler Robinson, this Charlie Kirk thing, these trigger words, these buzzwords, keywords, dog whistles, those kind of things. Okay. Virtue signaling, like the Valhalla, like, he didn't just say Valhalla either. He said, I'll see you there, brother. We got the watch, and then Tim Ballard's talking about the Watchman. And I'm just like, this does not go past me. Okay. And actually there's another thing that I found in Freemasonry that I'm just telling you so I can just get it out there, because I forgot to tell you the other day. They say never, not ever, never, like something like that. Never. I know it sounds stupid, but you know how when Tim Ballard was outside, after he got heard he got excommunicated, he was somewhere, Philadelphia or something, on a tour, and it was on Fox 13 News, and he was like, I never ever use Elder Ballard's name, and I don't know. I don't remember what he said exactly, but that, and I've found so many other instances of this happening. So that wasn't a pattern until I started so I read it in the Jesuit. Oh my gosh, I had it pulled up. The Jesuit oath that I shared with y'all the other day, that I have a video of it. Just y'all can go check it out. It's on my playlist. I read it because it's heinous. It's brutal. It's so demeaning, dehumanizing. And if a Jesuit has to take this oath, that comes first and foremost. We are nothing to them. We are slaves. Tim Ballard owns a company called Slave Stealers. It's actually for profit. Okay. And M. Russell Ballard was a co-owner in that. Like, you could see it on the filings, on the 990s. So just know that. Slave Stealers. And you think, what does that mean? Slave Stealers LLC. Huh. And then there's that video of this right here. I actually have it pulled up.
So Ken's background is he built a multi-billion-dollar company.
Oh, let me mute myself.
Inside sales, like huge off, and so that's why. And I met him through Elder Ballard, because Elder Ballard and the churches used him to use the same kind of tools and technologies for the missionary program and everything like that. And Elder Ballard actually looked him in the eye, and poor Elder Ballard can't even affirm this right now. But he said Tim will be 10 years ago. He said Tim will be a household name.
Yes.
And I was just like, what are you saying? Like, no one knew who I was at the time.
And he said, if we don't do it in 10 years, we'll all be slaves.
That's right. Yeah. He said he took to Ken. He said, Ken, you need to guide that process to when it happens.
You know what happened the next 2 nights? I had dreams all night long about what to do, and I even saw Tony Robbins. And we went up there to that whiteboard, crazy. And we made a 2-story high whiteboard, and we circled all the best places, and we circled the biggest name of all would be Tony Robbins.
This is before we knew him or he knew us.
We didn't even know. And the Lord had our back. And I didn't do anything about that other than highlight what he showed me.
Well, I remember Elder Ballard, he said, okay, well, Tony it is.
Yes.
Okay, well, how do we get to him?
Yes.
And Elder Ballard said, don't let the Lord take care of that.
And he did.
Within 6 months, Tony Robbins calls me. Bizarre.
And already firmly committed, and that's where we're going, you guys. So, Young Single Adult Project, all that stuff, but I'll hit on that later. But what we do is we mimic the traditional model, and the traditional model is you've got PR, which rolls to marketing.
Okay, let me go shut that down. All right, now I pulled this up too. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Oh no. All right, let me try resharing. It's lost connection again. Hold on. More problems. Typical day. So Tim Ballard, Blessed by Tom Harrison. I haven't read this again in a long time. So, here we go. And it says, to Tim through Tom, I am a second witness. Ken is the second witness. Saturday, August 5th, 2023 at 6:15 p.m. This came to me regarding Tim from the writings of 2 Corinthians 6. As the ministers of God to administer to his children, you have been called by apostolic decree. It takes much patience in affliction, distresses, and in necessities to accomplish such responsibilities and foreordinations. I'm sorry, it's hard to read. It's so small. And foreordinations as you have been called. In riotings and revelings, you are caused to endure and suffer much. You will be sustained by the pureness of speech. That's weird because that pure and then splitness, if you notice in right here in that screenshot, where did I see it? Outside. That's one word, just like pureness is one word, by the way. So it makes me wonder who wrote this. Okay. You will be sustained by the pureness of speech, by pure knowledge from God. Long suffering will be demanded, for where much is given, much is of necessity required. That doesn't make sense. Then the kindness of the Holy Ghost, which Chad was also referred to as the Holy Ghost by Melanie Gibb. Just noting that. Then the kindness of the Holy Ghost will comfort and sustain you. His unfeigned love will sustain you, not like the feigned love of friends. Past supporters, and family who have abandoned you for filthy money, lies, conspiracy, and all manner of greediness, selfishness, and false accusations. Very, very hasty, huh? You will be sustained by the word of truth, by the power of God unto righteousness, by his armor of righteousness. He will go before you on your right and your left, before you to dispel falsehoods and to be at your and to be at your rearward. I can't even say that. Rearward to defend your back. Just say he got your back too, okay? You have and will continue to receive honor and dishonor, evil as well as good rapport, and be surrounded and assailed by deceivers as well as those who are yet true and will remain upright before you. You have been prophetically proclaimed to be known and unknown. Okay. Unknown by your enemies and the enemies of truth and righteousness before the children of God. Known to those who will support you in times of trouble and grief. Your grief and shame have gone before the ears of the God of the God of the Sabbath. He gathered and heard thy sorrows, despair, and pain. You have felt like dying, yet behold, you live to fight another day for the salvation of his children and the covenants he has made with the nation. United Nations, y'all. And I'm not playing. I ain't got the receipts to back it up right here, right now, but I've read them. Okay. He goes to these meetings. The covenant, which I believe is when Lori told Charles she's ushering in the second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay. And to usher in a new millennium, a new Zion, new Jerusalem bullshit. That's what this means. It means this NWO. I've already come to that conclusion a long time ago, and it freaked me the hell out. Opened my eyes as well to what was really going on in the world. I have our brains recognize patterns. Okay. It's just natural. And, mine, I've read about these things. I've heard about these things throughout my life, different things, nothing formal, just whatever, Okay. I didn't know it was like some grand conspiracy or something, but that's how I feel. That's why I say that my aunt's murders uncovered a global conspiracy that's been going on since the beginning of freaking time, really. But you can see it, like you study it, you can, once I became aware of what this was actually, it's like, oh shit, this is horror. This is core horror. This is Antichrist. This is biblical shit. If you think about it. Anyways. All right. Let me find my spot again. Unknown by your end. Okay, I said that. Your grief and shame have gone before the ears of the God of Sabbath. He gathered and heard thy sorrows, despair, and pain. You have felt like dying. Yet behold, you live to fight another day for the salvation of his children and the covenants he has made with the nation. The covenant that will save the remnant of America. So they're not the remnant. They're not being the remnant. They're not saying, hey, we're the remnant. They're saying the covenant that will save the remnant of America. You will be chastened, yet not killed, beaten, yet not bloodied. In your sorrowful heart, there is always rejoicing of what you have seen, what has been shown you, and what will continue to parade before your eyes and live in your heart. You will live on to see the destruction of this nation. So, see what I'm saying? The abandonment of righteous ideals. The Constitution hangs in the balance of unrighteous leadership and the selfish desires of conspiring men and women. The Constitution's hanging by a thread. That's the White Horse Prophecy. Everybody knows. Glenn Beck's known for saying that. You will stand as a solitary witness of all you have warned the nations of. Yeah. And you will see all those who offend his little ones fall into the traps they have set for men like you to stumble into. That's me and you. Nations will rise up, United Nations, and call you blessed. Nations you know not of. And you will say in your heart, quote, where have these nations come from? Where are these been born of, and from whence have they come to redeem this nation from Babylon the Great, unquote. These, with their banners so terrible, will fight with weapons never before imagined. They will not slumber or sleep before the battle is won. This is hard to read. It's tiny. Okay, let's see. If somebody don't know how to take screenshots, I'll tell you that. Okay. Their battle and yours being one. United is the righteous deliverance of the captive, valiant and true. Cease all filthy conversations. Yeah, Tim, no more couples ruse. Shrink not or faint. You are held up by faith, prophecy, and foreordained to do this work. Heal the breach in your marriage. Pray for those who speak evil against you. Love those that hate you, for many will fall into the pit they have dug for you. I am with you always, your Savior, Redeemer, and friend. Your battle is mine. Your ways are becoming my ways. Make now your heart, your mind, my mind. These things are uttered in righteousness and under the sacred and holy name of Jesus the Christ. Amen. To be distributed to Tim and Todd and Ken and their dear spouses. So that's from Tom, right? That's another one. I mean, you know, what the hell is this? Sorry. Ah. Okay, so lawsuit. Okay. Well, let me see if I can find that. Hold on. Yeah, there's double horns right there. See the double horns? That's at the White House. That's President Trump's daughter. That's Orrin Hatch. See? There's his best friend, his other best friend, huh? There he is. Oh, pew pew. What a dork. What a dork, y'all. What a dork. Here's his other best friend. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I can find that blessing, or, you know, that thing that was included in the reading from Tom Harrison that I first started with. I don't see anything yet. Might not be in this one. What is that? Oh yeah, couples rules agreement. I'd say it's probably not in this one. But the blessings were, wait. Let's see. Ballard began to claim that President M. Russell Ballard had given Ballard permission to do the couple's ruse as long as there was no sexual intercourse or kissing on the lips, and had given him a special priesthood blessing as such. Let's see where the next one is. Okay. They went away. Oh, here. For the next several, this is from one of the alleged victim statements. For the next several hours as I worked, Tim began to tell me more about the tactics they used to keep their cover on operations. I had been aware of his close association with Elder Ballard, so it seemed natural when he told me they met on a regular basis to receive blessings and to discuss OUR proceedings. Why? Because come on. And Russell Ballard was a vested interest, one of the invested interests, you know, of seeing Tim succeed and reaping the benefits. And it was President Russell Ballard's mission. Like, that was his department, was to convert people, to bring people into the church. So, I mean, this is par for the course, you know, it's like, of course. Anyways, all right. And then I also opened this because, I mean, this is relevant. I want to know what Janet Russin, remember how there's this weird audio or whatever, and it's of Janet Russin, and she's just talking a bunch of weird nonsense shit. But is she scribing for Tom Harrison, who's doing these sessions or whatever with the ketamine treatments with Tim? You know, anyways, I have questions. I have so many questions, but this is on Facebook. I don't know if they have closed captions. I'll try and see. Let me mute myself.
Nephi and Blaine Anderson. Timothy, Tim, wait, just wait. Talk about what is happening, not what isn't happening. We are trying to get your attention before the hammer seemingly strikes. Don't let your guard down, but don't put up your dukes or fists either. In every situation, restraint. Resist reacting. It leads directly to overreacting. There's no good in it. Almost impossible to do in these moments of seemingly impending disaster. But we tell you, and have told you, there is no meteor in the sky. The sky is not falling. You will get to the end of your life, looking back and see, clearly, calmly, see, and laugh sometimes at some things, some of your own reactions, and cry also for yourself and others. But what you will see then, what you don't and cannot see now with natural eyes, but can with spiritual eyes, and the Liahona, you call it, Janet, the UT, that we never left you. That's what you'll see. That we never left you, exclamation point. There's quite a few exclamation points in this reading. Every person, player, around OUR, yourself, this cause, was meant to do exactly what they did. When errors are made, we correct the course before disaster strikes. You are one of the designated leads in this season of eternity's plays. At other times, there, like TV, were other greats. We each play the understudy, and then the star, the prop person, and the magician, front and center. Every season and lifetime has a different but related role in an individual soul's progression, as well as that of others. We sometimes play the catalyst, the hero, the villain, or the fool. But because we love the cause of righteousness, it is because we love the cause of righteousness, we are all brothers and sisters to find their way home. It's not quite right. I can't read the word. We love, but it is because we love the cause of righteousness. All of our brothers and sisters to find their way home, that we do it. Within the script is consistent the theme of forgiveness and mercy, patience and love, temperance and sweet restraint. Oh, if you can refrain from torturing yourself, there'll be less smoke and more understanding and clarity. Vices won't soften the blows, but inner sobriety will, ... Skipping a line. Now, the outcome is clear and undeniable. A reading or prophecy isn't false because the details are not yet revealed. How many things / matters, in quotation marks, how many things or matters in life are not as they first appear? Good heavens. Almost no one recognized the Messiah in his own town and the vicinity of his birth. They had many clues to win that prize with, and solve the mystery. And ... they did not believe, or they disbelieved, and skepticism, criticism, suspicion, and applied conditions blinded and blurred them from seeing who and what stood eye to eye and in front of them, in their midst. Underlined. The answers we don't keep from you or far from you. This resolution is swift and will pass by you like a race car on the track or a band in a parade. It is here and then gone, and you won't remember what came before or after, since many, many projects and people will replace it in importance. Eclipsed Troy. Troy eclipsed Brad, Tevye, John. Depression and heartache. Sound of Freedom eclipses all the pains of its birth. The due date of this baby is close, and these are the contractions of early labor. The joy of birth is forthcoming. Look to and on that look to and on that. Cigars all around, and the ugly cousins will join in the one more time. Cigars all around, and the ugly cousins will join in the celebratory elation of it too. Put this on the assembly line of building blocks and let it be handled by those who know how to assemble widgets. You have meetings with the Tesla man, or men and women of Tesla, Elon, and others like him, like-minded. Shred the unnecessary forms to sign, then in parentheses, the emotional details of the board, etc., close parentheses. Shred them, parentheses, in the shredder, and use the shredding as litter for the guinea pig. You have planes to catch and speeches to give, children to find, rescues to count, and the covenant to support and invoke. End of reading.
Baby, come give me something.
To Nephi and Blaine Anderson.
Oh my gosh, there's music playing. Oh no, shut it up. Shut up. Oh my god, hold on, I gotta mute it. That's how you do it. You shut the damn window out. I'm like, what the hell? Where'd that music come from? A-holes? God, it's such a hard world. Okay, so listening to her reading, it made me think about Julie Rowe. And I was trying to pull that up before that we were so rudely interrupted, right? Hold on, let me just kind of look for a second. It's a transcript out there that to me, it's code words, just like the voicemail that, hold on. Hold on just a second. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna see if this is it. Where's the sound? I don't think so. No, there's some people at a damn bar. I'm like, well, never know. One more page. She was on a Brian Hyde show. Let me see. Bryan. Let me try that. Okay. I think this is it. Oh, please open. Please. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me reshare my window. Yay. No, this track was not found. Oh, shit. God. Okay. Let me tell you my biggest peeve about all these people and the church. This is my peeve about the church and its people. A lot of the people I try to investigate. They are the most, like, you cannot depend on a link. Okay. And this is why I got all weird and obsessive about screen recording everything, because they will delete it off the internet in no time. Okay. They don't even think twice. They just think it's normal. I do. I think they believe it's okay to just go delete all the critical comments, things that hurt their feelings. Ruby Frankie's sister did it. she goes and removes all the damn negative comments, or what she perceives as negative. So whatever. It's like, oh my God, no wonder. Okay. But let me share my screen again. Sorry about that. And so this is where they where I found that link just now, but Julie Rowe just sealed her own demise in latest interview. And this is 10 years ago by Utah Flyer, ex-Mormon Reddit. I'm shocked no one has shared this yet before. On May 3rd, which is my birthday, yesterday, the train wreck of a Mormon prophetess, Julie Rowe, did an interesting radio interview where she said there will imminently, within a year, be a 6.6 to 7.0 earthquake occurring at 4:30 a.m. to 5 a.m. during the early morning of a warm weather day, but with some wet snow on the ground, either this fall or next spring, I take it, with an epicenter under the U of U hospital. There, quote, there will be damage at the hospital, airport, campuses, and schools. Significant damage in the Springville area. I was told by the Spirit to save this information for this interview, unquote. She said this radio interview was the last time she will publicly speak before this happens. Quote, this is the last warning, unquote. That's much more specific than details and timing she has given in the past. My TBM mother-in-law is scared shitless from this lady's predictions and lives in fear of earthquakes, plagues, foreign armed forces occupying the USA, and needing to live in church camps and tents up in the mountains. I look forward to this lady finally being shown a fraud/crazy so all those who are following her and scared can move on and not live in fear. You know, I laughed right there. This is not funny. This is real shit. And I feel bad for this person and the people like Julie and Chad and Tim and Tom and the whole gang have instilled in their fellow Mormon community. Okay. It's pretty shitty. It's like the world is shitty enough. We don't need them. Yeah. I've never read that before. So, you know, let me go back. Anyways, I'm not going to be able to find it, but it was fascinating when I did hear it because she talks about wine glasses clinking, a lot of buzzwords, a lot of phrases that sound like programming if you think about it. My EBT card worked today, so that's a boatload of alcohol and cigarettes on a Black Friday ad. I bought a boatload of alcohol. I'm sorry. Man. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yay. It's a transcript, but here is what I'm talking about. Julie Rowe radio show with Brian Hyde on KDXU 890 AM, November 16th, 2016. All right, let me go make sure you can hear me and everything. Okay. I don't want to do all that and then turn around and, well, let me look at the chat too. Y'all okay? Everybody okay? Oh, I'm sorry for the loss, Kim. Sorry to hear that. Okay, just seeing if there are anything. Yeah, and Star Dante, yes, that's what caught my attention initially, you know, because I was just like, what? I've heard of Charlie Kirk before, but because Tim Ballard spoke at a TPUSA, you know, it was on the circuit. So was David Barton, David Barton is actually like a Christian evangelical. You probably have heard of him. Just like the rest of them has obscured, bizarre retelling of American history and biblical history, you know, like spin their own narrative, you know. That seems to be a huge, in my opinion, indicator among these kinds. Okay. So they just, I don't know, they spin their own narrative and then they all back each other up and they network. And that's how they dupe a lot of people, I believe, because, you know, they're personable. They try to come off as these just everyday normal people, but they're in a club and we're not in it. And it sucks, but yes, and I actually played a video the other day on Sunday of a creator who had found research on the actual Romanian angels. So I got it right here. Let me grab it. It's worth it. because people were saying, actually, if you ask ChatGPT, it'll tell you that that's not a fact. You know, it's not a fact that Erica Kirk's ministry was kicked out of Romania for trafficking. Okay, it's right around here, damn it. There it is. Okay. I'm gonna go mute myself. As soon as it
just another nice coincidence there. Those will keep piling up. As you can see here in 2012, she won a beauty pageant owned by Donald Trump and then became Miss Arizona. After that, she tried to get into entertainment. She appeared in some music videos, this one from a country music band. But then at age 23, she does something kind of interesting, which is to set up an evangelical Christian organization called Everyday Heroes Like You, which developed a program called Romanian Angels, which advocated for adoptions, family reunifications, and deinstitutionalization policies for orphan children. And it operated from about 2011 to 2015. Those dates are important, which I'll get back to in a second. But yeah, I don't know. This whole thing seems kind of like a weird thing to do, to go to Romania to start a charity. This next part is where it gets super dark. According to UNS, behind the slogan, helping God's forgotten children find wings, her organization was actually suspected of having been involved in child trafficking. Whoa, yeah, those are some heavy claims. So I looked into it deeply. Obviously, I started with the mainstream fact checkers who say that there is absolutely no evidence of this claim, of course, but I'm here to report that we actually do have some evidence. This is from a Romanian newspaper. This headline is translated, but it reads, a former translator from the American base in the city of Romania that I'm not going to pronounce, accuses, and she says that it's a real brothel operated here where minors were brought in. Quote, Anna Maria Nasiu was until recent years a translator at the American base, once again, city, can't pronounce it, Romanian name. Everything seemed to be normal until Anna Maria discovered that in this military unit belonging to NATO forces, there was a real brothel where underage girls came to satisfy the desires of some soldiers, especially the commander of the Black Sea Area Support Team base, Otto Buscher. Okay, Otto Buscher, remember that name. This next part is where the dots will connect. Okay, I'm gonna show you this video right here that was posted by Erica Kirk, then Erica Fransvi, on Vimeo. Basically, it's a commercial for Romanian Angels, and it was posted in 2013.
I believe that we all have angels in our lives, and these are my little angels from Antonio Placement Center in Constanța, Romania. Our goal with the Romanian Angels Project was to show these children the true American heart during the holiday season.
Okay, anyways, it's basically a fluff video, but at the end, the person she thanks is none other than Colonel Otto Buscher. Yeah, here is a copy of the criminal complaint. It is in Romanian, but you can see the name Otto Buscher, and the years 2011 to 2013 is when these alleged crimes took place. So the person that Erica Kirk was working with in Romania to quote unquote help orphan children was accused of, yeah, not good. And you might be like, why have I never heard of this? Well, there's something called the U.S.-Romania Defense Cooperation Agreement that was signed back in 2005, wherein crimes committed by U.S. military personnel on Romanian bases used by U.S. forces fall under U.S. jurisdiction, especially if they occur while on duty or within the installations. So essentially, everything was just swept under the rug. This guy, Otto Buscher, just retires, and according to my research, here's his LinkedIn, he's like having a nice, quiet retirement in New Hampshire. Erica Kirk's Romanian Angels mysteriously just shuts down shortly thereafter. She then keeps a pretty low profile until she is set up on a TPUSA interview with Charlie Kirk, and they fall in love, they get married, and you won't believe this, but their wedding was actually funded by TPUSA, so very interesting. And fast forward, as we all know now, Charlie Kirk dies a gruesome death, and she takes over as CEO of Turning Point with the new organization now much more powerful than it ever was. So it's almost like Charlie is more valuable to them dead than alive. Not gonna say this is a honeypot, I've gotten in trouble for that before, but something doesn't seem right here. Especially because if you just look at Turning Point right now, they're not asking any more questions. They're ready to move on. They're ready to fundraise. Erica looks happy as a clam, and Charlie is basically in the rearview mirror at this point, even before we really have all the facts. Something just feels wrong here to me. And so unless you have something to gain from Charlie being dead, we should all still be asking the questions and demanding all the answers. My name's James Lee. This is the 5149 Show. Sound off in the comment section below. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I hate doing this unmute thing. It sucks. Okay. Now I'm shifting your attention to here because not to here. I did the wrong one. Hold on. To here. To here. I took that transcript and put it into my Speechify app so I don't have to read it. Robot me can read it. Okay. Ready? I'll mute myself as soon as I press play.
Radio interview with Brian Hyde on KDXU 890 AM. November 16th, 2016. Brian Hyde, good afternoon and welcome to the HD Radio Show. You know, over the years, I have had the opportunity to interview a lot of really interesting people, but I don't know if anybody has turned as many heads or caused as many people to sit up and take notice as the guest who I have on the telephone with me right now. I have Julie Rowe joining me. Julie, welcome back to the HD Radio Show. Julie Rowe, thank you, Brian. Brian Hyde, so what was it, May? I think it was May last time you and I talked. So it's been a few months. Julie Rowe, I believe it was May 3rd or somewhere near there. Brian Hyde, okay. And for those who don't know you, I should probably take a minute here so we can get them properly acquainted with you. Julie Rowe had a series of near-death experiences some years ago. And you have been what I think I would label a voice of warning here in the last year and a half or so. Would you mind explaining just a little bit about who you are and what you feel your mission is? Julie Rowe, sure, Brian. Before I get started, if that's okay, if I can just take a couple minutes, this is answering your questions, but I want to kind of make a preemptive strike, if you will.
Yeah,
that verbiage has triggered quite a few
Sorry.
people. I guess the news got out on Facebook and some other websites about this very important warning today. And I'm going to say, it chokes up, forgive me for the emotions. Sorry, I can't contain it. And I'm not supposed to. I send my love to all within the sound of my voice and say to you, this is a warning. I also say I love and testify of our Savior Jesus Christ. I know He is real. He is in our presence on a very regular basis. That might be the biggest introduction I could give as to why I am doing this. I also need to make it very clear that I've lost about 50% of my hearing in the last year. I have
dancing on the table.
Hold on. Hold on. Man down, man down. Sorry. I need us to shut up. Okay. God dang. All right. That's embarrassing. Oh my God. Let's try that again. Okay.
Brian Hyde, actually, you sound just fine. I remember our conversation back in May, and you had indicated there is a wake-up coming, and you particularly had mentioned for the Wasatch Front. Now we were Julie Rowe. I believe the word was imminent. Brian Hyde, yes. Julie Rowe, in the Lord's time, not the next day. Now I say it is soon. Brian Hyde, so there have been people, myself included, who have been very aware of what's happening seismologically around the country. Anyway, last time we talked, we had mentioned we'll talk after this wake-up event or maybe closer to the election. The election had come and gone at this point. It appears so far we're still waiting for some kind of seismic event along the Wasatch Front. What is your feeling right now as far as how things are moving along? Julie Rowe, my feeling is that my heart is very full. My heart is weighted down, but it is very full of my love for the Savior, and it's His eternal plan. A chokes up, and I'm probably going to cry through this whole thing. I'm sorry, but it's very close. Very, 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 very close. Brian Hyde, there is one thing I would like to ask you right at the beginning of our conversation, and that is I have somehow, word got out pretty quick that you were going to be on the show today, and I started getting emails from people. So is it true Julie Rowe is going to be on? And I know you are no stranger to people who are antagonistic. Julie Rowe, right. I'm getting pretty used to it. Brian Hyde, but one of them was like, so are you having the prophetess on? And I wanted to ask you, please address, I understand the person is using it in a pejorative fashion, but to my understanding, you don't represent yourself as a prophet or prophetess, do you? Julie Rowe, I do not. But I will say the gift of prophecy is real, and that it's a spiritual gift that can be given to any and all people if it is part of the Lord's plan for them. But that we have true prophets and apostles living on this earth. Brian Hyde, now you've written a series of books discussing some of the events that are to come prior to the second coming of Jesus Christ, and I'm just going to ask you if you would explain, why is it important that people understand some of these events or recognize them for what they are, and is this something that you feel you are called to testify to? Julie Rowe, yes. That's a layered question. I'll try to answer it in the order in which it was given. I'll try to answer to the best of my ability with what I understand I can communicate effectively right now, hopefully to those who are listening and willing with open hearts, or even just a nugget of potential, which I believe all of us have. Wherever they may be within the sound of my voice, I say to you that Christ is real, and absolutely I have a calling, as do each of us who have come to this earth and accepted his plan. And while we have varying degrees of understanding and even a variation in knowledge or belief, I am here as one of many of God's servants to bridge the gap within various sects, as in sects, of society. And that includes different religions, different denominations, and those who are not of the LDS faith, which I am a member, and those who do not have any religion at all currently on this planet or elsewhere. That is in part my mission, and I accept it wholeheartedly. Brian Hyde, now historically though, people who have been called upon to speak truth have not always been well received. And I'm deliberately understating that. Julie Rowe, there's a pattern with that, yeah, you could say. Brian Hyde, in fact, in times such as ours, people who speak truth, and I mean any kind of truth, can find themselves very unpopular. Julie Rowe, right, scientific truth. We have had a lot of scientists in years past that have been, people once believed something about the earth being flat versus round. And there's different theories on even what's going on in the earth right now. So our time is no different. Brian Hyde. So, Julie, we're going to have to take a break here in about 90 seconds or so. But before we go there, I just want to get this right out in the open. Why do you do what you do? Julie Rowe, because I love the Lord and I love his children, and I consider everyone my brother and sister, even if they don't love me back. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Brian Hyde, okay. So when you speak these kind of things, you're not doing it out of a sense of, hey, I know something you don't and I'm going to scare you to death with it. There's a purpose behind the warnings that you give, correct? Julie Rowe, yeah. You can call that God's purpose, and I am just a messenger, one of many that have come before and one of many that will come still. And I'm hoping that my courage to come forth with my story will open hearts and help heal some people, give them the courage to see who they really are too. Brian Hyde. Okay. On that note, we're going to take a very quick break here. Julie Rowe is my guest by telephone. I would encourage you, if you haven't checked out her website, julieroweprepare.com, take the time to do it. You'll find plenty of blog posts. You'll find information about the books she's written.
I'm Nate. Did you know people books she's written? We're going to come back and continue our conversation with her here in just a few moments on the HD Radio Show. Brian Hyde, good afternoon and welcome to the HD Radio Show. I have author Julie Rowe on the phone with me today, and for those who aren't familiar with her, Julie had a series of near-death experiences a few years ago and has written a series of books urging people to prepare, and also warning them that we are in a very interesting time in human history. And Julie, I know that there's a purpose for why you sound the voice of warning that you do. What do you want people to understand? What's the most important thing that you can communicate to them since you have their ear? Julie Rowe, the most important thing I can communicate is that God loves them with all of his heart, and he wants them to come home. And that happens in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it comes through actual physical death, and often, prior to that, it's him calling us to become one of his elected, if you will. Him calling us to help our brothers and sisters to save lives and give hope. Him calling us to reach out to our neighbor and serve. Him calling us to be the best we can be. I'm here to testify of this truth as he has called me, as I've been willing to endure scrutiny and other analysis, if you will. And it's been given to me to understand that I have an opportunity to learn to develop and receive the gift of charity. And I can tell you that I'm much closer in receiving that gift I asked for in 2004 than I was even 2 weeks ago, or even yesterday, as I have seen his hand of mercy, and soon his hand of justice coming into fruition. And in my own life have seen the blessings and the outpouring of love of friends and family alike, on both sides of the veil, wherever they may be. Their love and support to me because they are true friends, and true followers, and true servants of the living God, no matter what religion, or lack of religion, one professes at a given time. I know that he loves me because he brings angels into my life that are real people that come and testify to me that I can do this mission, and they testify to me that I'm worth it, and that I have worthy goals, and that I am not worthless, and that I have value, not just in his eyes but in theirs, and that if I keep my eye on the mark, which is true salvation and freedom as our agency, even as we speak, is being stripped from us here on earth, and especially in the United States, that the times of turmoil that have been foreseen by me and many others on this planet, and elsewhere, are soon at hand, even nigh at hand. Brian Hyde, talk to me about the state of the world. Because I know there are a lot of people breathing a sigh of relief. For a week now, they're like, oh ho, well Hillary didn't win so now we're feeling pretty secure, like, hey, maybe there's been a reset of sorts. But in the most general sense, as we look at the state of the world, where do we stand? Julie Rowe, the first domino is falling. We have lightning bolts tonight.
Just stopping it so that I can point out the domino thing. That was something that Lori texted to, I don't know, one of the cohorts about, the murders, basically. The first domino to fall, things like that. These voices suck. I'm like, what the hell? Where the hell did mine go? Okay. I mean, ever since I put Chad Daybell's on there, mine sounds flat. Like it used to sound okay. See, I have chins. That's what I call it. Let's see. I mean, I don't know. Try it. Yeah. Go.
Hi, my name is My Voice Update.
Oh my God. These are terrible. Anyways, let me just stop this for a second. We have lightning bolts tonight, and the cards are stacked against Trump Tower. See, to me, these are like code phrases. Okay, she's communicating to fellow people who communicate this way, and that's the occult. Okay, so whomever her audience is, or I don't know, maybe it could be some kind of programming where it activates people. I don't know. I don't have this figured out. We have lightning bolts tonight, and the cards are stacked against Trump Tower, which means to me a series of things. But the most basic level is we haven't seen the end of Trump or Hillary or Obama or the puppet masters that guide them and even control them. I mean, hadn't it pretty much come to, again, I'm not the smartest puppy, okay? But aren't those people she just listed there, Trump, Hillary, Obama, etc., aren't they deep state? Like, pretty much. Speaking of, I remember there is a picture of President Oaks, okay? Maybe. I don't know. I just saw that they were about to name the new prophet of the church. I wonder if it's going to be Tim. Just kidding. Just kidding. But Elder Oaks and Obama together, chilling. So there's that. I just wanted to say that. Let's see. Brian Hyde says, so the lull that we're experiencing right now is temporary. Julie says, it's the calm before the storm. Even though it's chaotic, it's nothing for what's coming in the next day or two. Brian says, can you speak more specifically about what you see coming? Julie Rowe says, well, the Ring of Fire has recently come alive. Anyone that's read my books knows a little bit about that, to which I won't go into more detail. She needs to make book sales, probably. I'm not here to predict earthquakes or any other natural disaster. I'm here to testify to you that it's nigh at hand, and that I can't say exactly when it is, but I can see it. But I can say to you that I see in the coming days election polls being protested, riots in the streets, EBT cards not working, Black Friday being very dark, and Obsidian Monday just around the corner. Brian says, interesting. I know that the earthquake in New Zealand, and then there was one in Argentina. Yeah, isn't that where Tim was charged with espionage? Argentina, I think. Could be something else. Definitely we're getting people's attention. Maybe it's because since our last conversation, I've been a little more cognizant of earthquakes within the lower 48, the continental U.S., central. Julie says, especially in your own state, in Utah, right? You're in southern Utah, but you've got a lot of people serving as watchdogs, looking out for some big ones coming up around the corner. Brian Hyde says, and well, I don't think we've seen a lot of seismic activity. We've had some minor ones here and there, but in the middle of parts of America, particularly around Oklahoma, it sounds like there's been considerable activity. Julie, well, I live in Kansas now, and anybody who's read my books knows that I didn't live in Kansas. Well, anybody who knows me in my close circle knows I didn't live in Kansas. I lived in Arizona. Okay, so that's weird. When I wrote the first two books, Iowa, we have a town called Iowa right here by Lake Charles. So I'm like, I have to kind of stop for a second and go, okay, the state is Iowa. Iowa, when I wrote the third one, and that I've since returned. We moved our family on July 1st back to Kansas and moved into our property here in a safe location in August. And I need to do that before the strikes began against me, as well as several different strikes, everything from an earthquake on the Wasatch or elsewhere to the Ring of Fire really coming alive. What does she mean by that? Which we saw this past weekend, the beginning of that, and then also strikes, union strikes, and things with protests and civil unrest in Chicago and other major cities are an unprecedented scale. It's extremely surreal and mostly sobering for me, not as in like I drink alcohol sobering. I'm very somber when I think of those things. Brian says, now I'm going back to, you emphasized at the very beginning of our conversation that above all, you want people to remember God really loves them. And I just want to clarify, is this in part to help them understand that though difficult times and very difficult situations may be ahead, that doesn't mean that God has turned his back on them? Julie says, not only has he not turned his back on them, his back, he's front forward and facing its center with his arms extended, begging them to come to him for relief, begging them to come to him I hate when they say come to him. Okay, just saying, begging them to come to him as his arms of mercy are extended and truth prevails, begging them to hear his voice. This is something that I've questioned because the church puts this out. They're like, seek him, find him, know him, hear him. And I'm just like, oh, I feel like they all work in harmony, these MKUltra program-ish things, to trigger people. Anyways, just a weird thought I had a long time ago. And mine, and any other person who's willing to listen or open their hearts to their own potential and that of the infinite, oh my gosh, and that of the infinite atonement, because that's the only way. And he wants us home. He wants us, whether we're coming home tomorrow or next week or next year or in a decade or, oh my God, or whenever we come home, either physically or spiritually. It's never too late. Brian says, we didn't talk a whole lot about the election in our previous conversation back in May. Now that it's come and gone, are there any thoughts you have? I mean, look, I'll admit, I was one of the people who was very surprised. I knew that there was support for Trump. I didn't know that he could pull it off given the forces that he was up against. Oh, God. If y'all could, I wish y'all could read the thoughts that were going through my mind right now, because it makes me like I'm automatically thinking, and I was already thinking that, okay, hypothesis, like let's just oh my God, I can't talk. I'm sick of this shit. Hypothesize about, Julie Rowe started a nonprofit organization that was sketchy. And I mean, hers was about and this freaked me out because I was like, what does that even mean? About spiritual tracking, soul trafficking is what she called it. Like to help those against soul trafficking. And I'm like, you can't prove that on paper, dork. Okay, first off. So in order to have a legitimate nonprofit organization, not that I think hers is, because I don't believe it ever was. And it was called a Greater Tomorrow Relief Fund, or the Greater Tomorrow Relief Fund. So it's kind of like Make America Great Again. You know what I'm saying? And so it just kind of made me think along the same lines, like, is the Greater Tomorrow Relief Fund, was it always planned to, it like all these people, this whole movement here that my aunt is part of, were they put into place or chosen because of what was going to be orchestrated? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I mean, this has been, I believe, a continuous thing that's happening right now, today. These psyops, they do things to make people make decisions. They do this to put more and more restriction on us, to bind us by our own laws that we're like, yeah, we're against that, and then boom, they do something that diverts attention to what they're really doing. I don't really have the words for all these nefarious things. Okay. You would think I would by now, but I don't. Let's see. I'm looking for the longer one. Hold on. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I wish I had the time between me finding all this shit. I hate the way my brain works. Let me do this. Oh, there it is. Damn. I was about to type it in. Just found it. Okay, hold on. Pulling it up. And I just want to kind of show you. All right. So this is the missing and exploited children. But it's really about Tim Ballard, but and the higher ups, the elitists. Okay, so just listen.
Video is long overdue. I am going to explain the link between the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as the Polaris human trafficking hotline, how it connects back to the Clinton Foundation. And then we're going to connect it all back to the Sound of Freedom and the entire deceptive network that is pushing this film and the facts, the most convicting facts that they are choosing to ignore, while we highlight some of their hypocrisy along the way. All right, buckle up, Buttercup.
The greatest legacy you can leave is to make a statement for your children.
Until now, there has been no such place to which one could turn in order to try to find and help these children.
I'm delighted to have the opportunity to help launch the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
A strong, loud voice for children. 1-800-THE-LOST.
Call the number on your screen right now.
We have technology to age photographs of missing children. These operators do God's work.
I owe so much to the National Center. They saved my life.
I'm Jenny Ruxpin, the official spokesperson for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
I'm driven. We're going to bring him home.
Code Adam was established as a tribute to my son.
The new cyber tip line will be using the internet to help catch child predators who operate online.
They were the major advocates behind the Amber Alert. Their work brought me home.
We dedicate it as the Children's Building.
But this is a building of hope. Thank you.
John Walsh became a national figure in 1981 when his 6-year-old son Adam was abducted.
I just want you to know this directly affects my family's case. So when I found this out about how these things are constructed and then nationally exploited, how my parents, how victims, family members all across the nation are exploited in this very same manner to fool the rest of us, the rest of the world. Okay. And it's really shitty. It really pisses me off. And that's what I mean when I say that these elitist people who push all this propaganda and all this bullshit and make tons of money off. So like not only they are the biggest exploiters. Okay. And so this is NCMEC. This is MEC. Okay. So this is exactly who Ray Hermosillo called when Tylee and JJ went missing. Okay. I thought I was doing something good whenever I sponsored National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and got a cup and a shirt, and I thought I was doing something good, and I fed right into it, which it's designed to do. That's just one of the things. But they exploit victims till there's nothing left. I'm talking about. Sometimes I think these victims are worth more to these kind of people when they're dead. It's like, because it continues and it never stops. Anyways, I don't know. I'm getting my feels.
From a department store. You may remember him as the host of America's Most Wanted, but he also founded the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as part of legislation that the Walshes helped push through Congress. There is recent controversy surrounding his story as his daughter has come forward speaking out. I haven't had time to unravel that's truth or not, so I'm not going to focus on that. I just want to focus on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. President Bush signed the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act of 2006, which did have harsher penalties for offenders, but it also created a new National Child Abuse Registry, and this gave Child Protective Service professionals access to this information.
I know you can't really see it very well. I know it's shitty, but just listening to what she's saying, that's enraging. They used this, okay, or you could say maybe not, somebody who's like, no, but they did, they used things like this, and they use these school shooters, these shootings that are happening, like what we're going to go over if I ever get to it, right? They're going to use this, and they're going to try, like Charlie Kirk shooting. I mean, that was a major one, right? But it's like, you got to see what's going on with legislation in the background. What are they trying to push through right now to inflict upon us? Okay. I found a story last night, y'all. Let me let this finish playing. I'm going to pull that other one. And I was like, it was about the Salt Lake City bombings. KSL put together like a reel, of all the pertinent news stories about the Salt Lake City bombings. And it was, I've never gone and looked retrospective, into what could be a psyop, what couldn't be. I always thought, some of these guys, they seem to be framed, I That's about where I was. But now I'm like, I think that was a psyop. We just didn't have internet back then. Why are they playing it now? Why they just published this 15 hours ago? If, what's the point? Are they trying to get us to see these things as psyops, or they flaunting it in our face? Or was it just some sort of anniversary of the damn thing? Like what's really happening? Anyways, let me mute and hush.
We know that we always have to read through the lines with legislation that looks good on the surface. The CPS makes money from stealing children or kidnapping your children for money. There is federal funding in place for the CPS to kidnap our children. This is too small to see, so I took a screenshot to zoom in. It is the Adoption and Legal Guardianship Incentive Payment Program. Okay, they are making $40 million, $36 million by this incentive program. So they gave the CPS access to this database that links to quote unquote abuse. And then they put federal funding in place to rehome your child. And as many of us know, there have been reports that these children have also been trafficked and just not in good care when they are taken by the CPS. So the NCMEC connects back to Lockheed Martin, but also Peter Thiel and Palantir Technologies. Peter Thiel's Palantir had listed some of its clients as the CIA, DHS, FBI, CDC, some military, and also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Since 2010, Palantir has partnered with NCMEC, providing our data integration software in support of its mission to help find missing children, reduce sexual exploitation, and prevent future victimization. So Peter Thiel has intelligence on the missing and abused children. All right, let's keep moving. Amber Ready Inc. sold software and kits to parents to keep a profile about their child in case they went missing. They selected the Podesta Group to be their PR firm. Working with Amber Ready to help inspire nationwide support for their innovative child safety solution should prove to be a very exciting and gratifying, stated Ed Rothschild, a principal of the Podesta Group. And here is a screenshot of the PR release in case you want it for your own records. We also know that Brian Podesta is an NCMEC business analyst. Here is a screenshot of his resume that he was a senior analyst at NCMEC. I did also find a video of a woman doing some research and sharing as she tried to connect this Brian Podesta to John Podesta.
And look what we have here. We have Jane, Brian, and PJ, his brother, at a White House lawn party in the early 90s with Bill Clinton. A photo from the 90s was somehow tucked away in one of our bookshelves. Visit to some party on the White House lawn when Jane Podesta and I still had 2 of our 3 kids at home. Where does the time go? Now, this is in the early 90s, guys. How do you think they got to this party on the White House lawn? I wonder, who was the chief of staff and the assistant to the president in the early 90s? Let's just take a trip to Wikipedia. And let's see who was there. The Clinton years. Podesta served as both an assistant to the president and as deputy chief of staff. Earlier, from January 1993 to 1995, he was assistant to the president, staff secretary, and the senior policy advisor on the government information, privacy, telecommunications, security, and regulatory policy.
Okay. This is a timeline of Hillary's work specifically involving infants and children, and I'm going to hone in on some of the things that I think are important in regards to this video. You can see here in 1997, she promoted the nationwide immunization against childhood diseases, initiated and shepherded the Adoption and Safe Families Act, which provided funding for efforts in encouraging adoption. So the exact funding scheme that I mentioned earlier in this video. In 1999, she was instrumental in passing the Foster Care Independence Act, which launched the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Moving on, we see.
Oh my God, Chris, hold on. I had to stop on that one because, oh my God. Okay, so you just put that into context for me. Holy shit. Okay, right. I knew that he was on Clinton speed dial, right? Tony Robbins. But I mean, come on, some things don't register. But that just registered. God. And Tony Robbins casting demons out of the Clintons. Tim too, probably. Maybe Dr. Michael, what's his frippin' name? Body code. Shit. Oh my God. Energy healing. Oh my God. He wrote a big forward in his book. Wait, Dr. Oh my God. It's only because it's bothering me. Anyways, y'all will help. I know. You know his name. You're shouting at me. God, this is crazy. Chris, I wish you would come on, even if it's voice. Just come on. Let's schedule it. Or not even a live stream. We'll just do a pre-record, whatever. Would love to hear you talk about this shit. We would benefit from it. The world would benefit from everything that you have collected and learned, because you too, your family is affected by this shit. All right. Do it, Chris. On my way, 808 says. Do it. Damn it. Thank you, Davis. Glad you're here. Love the gator. Oh, wow. Daisy Jade says, in Australia, Martin Bryant killed 35 people, had no memory of it, programmed. Then we had gun laws change and we became unarmed. They plan everything. So it's a worldwide movement to some kind of order that they're obsessed with. Yeah. What? Was it that easy? Oh my God. Okay. Will do. Okay. Yay. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I'll shut up now and go back to the regularly scheduled deprogramming. Okay.
She partnered with the Polaris Project, who runs the National Human Trafficking Resource Center and Hotline, to build an anti-trafficking approach replicable worldwide. In 2012, they hosted a Clinton Global Initiative conference focusing on human trafficking with former President Obama as the keynote speaker. So I want you to hear yourself and hear how ridiculous it is to say, why would the sound of freedom bring attention to something they are doing? And I need you to get over that hump and familiarize yourself with your enemy's tactics. They're the ones steering the narratives. They're the ones gatekeeping the truth. They're the ones creating the problem in order to give you the solution. The end will always justify the means. And this archived website proves just that. They actually say, responding to tragedy, created as a reaction to heinous crimes committed against children. We now take a proactive approach to child protection. And this was launched with Hillary Clinton. There's a lot more, but there's your direct connection to Clinton. Let's move on. Here is an archive website from theclintonfoundation.org. Where they talk about the Polaris Project, where they're going to build an anti-trafficking approach worldwide. At the bottom right, you'll see that there is a for missing and exploited children partnership there. So the Polaris Project was created. There is a direct link from the Polaris Project to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it does all connect back to the Clintons. The Clinton Global Initiative partnered with the Polaris Project in 2009. The Polaris Project operates the National Human Trafficking Resource Center and runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Polaris is based out of DC, is funded by the Department of Health and Human Services. They create a database of organizations across the globe to monitor human trafficking. They state by enabling actors in the anti-human trafficking field to better locate, identify, and connect. So anyone who purports themselves to be an expert in anti-human trafficking should know this fact, and they shouldn't be utilizing this number, should they?
And you have to ask yourself, this is Tim Ballard's. This is his business, and it's business.
Think about how they infiltrate and gatekeep legitimate patriots in every single way and avenue. They have an entire system to do it for child trafficking too. Started with them creating the entire database to trap children via Polaris, which is partnered with the Clinton Foundation. Peter Thiel from Palantir manages the intelligence behind the database. Then you have a Podesta on the inside. So don't tell me you want to help child trafficking victims and you were ignorant to the involvement of our own government and NGOs in it. So they create this database. They claim it's the most comprehensive database of modern-day slavery organizations ever compiled for the public. And right there, they're telling you the truth. So now, let's go back to Sound of Freedom and some other organizations that use this number. All right, back to Sound of Freedom.
Who's paying for this movie to come about?
I think Jim's. Aren't you footing the bill? A great group of people have come together to invest in this production. Some of them, the Carlos Slim family is involved.
Really?
From Mexico.
The folks who don't know who Carlos Slim is, tell them who he is.
He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. Telecommunications in Mexico, Latin America. His son Patrick is the real the point of contact for that. He's very passionate about what we're doing and fighting trafficking.
Largest shareholder in the Times is Carlos Slim. Now, Carlos Slim, as you know, comes from Mexico. He's given many millions of dollars to the Clintons and their initiative. So Carlos Slim, largest owner of the paper from Mexico. Reporters at the New York Times, they're not journalists. They're corporate lobbyists for Carlos Slim and for Hillary Clinton.
Carlos Slim also gave $100 million to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, worked alongside Clinton in Haiti, as well as many other times, many different fundings. He's also very close to the Rothschilds. Here's a photo of Mel Gibson with him. There's much more to dig here, but if you believe Bill Clinton is a catalyst to end human trafficking, you might as well believe that Tim Ballard is a catalyst to end human trafficking. Here's Operation Railroad, endorsing the National Human Trafficking Hotline, endorsing Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher is the founder of Thorn, described as digital anti-human trafficking
Marisol
software.
Nichols.
Kutcher sits on the board of the McCain Institute next to Ernie Allen. The Thorn software is once again backed by Palantir, and all they're doing is really changing the mask. Same operation that was going on at the Clinton Foundation, just called something else because you found out what they were actually doing. Ernie Allen is a member of the McCain Institute and also longtime CEO of the NCMEC. So as you can see, cheering for the Sound of Freedom is like cheering for a human trafficking movie that was produced by the Clintons themselves. Here is Angel Studios. They might as well just put a billboard up advertising their connection to the Polaris Project, NCMEC, and the Clinton hotline number. This is the Child Liberation Foundation, founded by Knights Templar Paul Hutchinson, also ex-CIA, and promoting and pushing the Sound of Freedom and the Clinton hotline. Here is a photo of Tim Ballard with Craig Sawyer, who sabotaged the CMEX investigation in Arizona that Lewis Arthur found. He was a bodyguard for Hillary Clinton and John McCain, and then he later removed it and lies about it and gets extremely angry if you ever ask him about it. He, of course, references the NCMEC number. Now, let me show you some glaring hypocrisy. Here's Laura Logan, Flynn's child trafficking adrenochrome calling out sweetheart, insinuating that the cyber tip line for the NCMEC basically uses these intelligence services and uses it to control people and assets. Her words. While the film she's promoting is basically promoting them like a billboard. So does the Flynn organization, America's Future, the same one that Liz Crokin is advertising here, and the same one that she sits on the board with of their Project Defend and Protect Our Children Little Flower Advisory Board, along with another CIA member, Basil Baz, as well as Jacob Buyens, Liz Crokin, Brian, I Dress Like Antifa, Gamble at J6, and Laura, I Speak About Adrenochrome with No Agenda, Logan. And here's Laura Logan mocking anyone who dares question the Sound of Freedom, even though her hypocrisy is blinding. These people must be getting paid a ton of money to profit off the atrocity of child sex trafficking and exploit that notion. And don't give me that, oh, maybe they don't know. Because if they don't know, they have no business sitting on a board of an anti-trafficking organization.
Come a long, long way. Now, the center is more needed than ever.
Okay, right? Okay, there's that. But I want to show you this because I pulled up some pictures while she was talking. So, what she means by Templar, this is Paul Hutchinson. This is Sean Reyes. This is Eduardo Veresti. He actually played in the Sound of Freedom movie. And this is Tim over here. And I had to do it like this. Okay, so you could see. I removed the lettering and everything off of Lynn Packer's photo. And this was in 2015. They were all knighted. Or they all became Templars. So you can see the thing in the back. Okay. All right. And then also the John McCain thing. I say this because you can't make this shit up. You can't. You cannot make this shit up. I say that because Jason Mount, who's friends with Tim. Okay. You see here? That's Rod Meldrum right there. This is in 2019. Look. Firm Foundation, April 18th, 2019. Tim would talk on the same circuit that Lori and Chad would talk on. Well, Chad. Lori was just fangirl, right? Okay, well, here's this. Who's that? Who's that? That's Jason. That's Senator John McCain. They look like they're feasting, if you know what I'm saying. And then another one that I'm learning speaks for TPUSA is, okay, so here's Jason and his bishop. This is Bishop Gabe Bonilla, right? The same bishop that my Uncle Charles called to get him out of the pits of hell with his wife, right? Hold on. Where'd it go? Here. This guy. He's, I forget what the hell he is. Maybe a representative for the state of Arizona, Andy Biggs. He's a speaker for TPUSA. I just learned that. And I'm like, well, son of a bitch. Okay. You can't throw a rock without hitting one of these people. I swear. Makes sense though, because Jason Mao was one of these quote unquote, he contracted overseas. He made himself a volunteer for Hurricane Katrina, my state. Also learning that Tim Ballard's latest, oh my God, what's the name of them? Oh shit. He always has it on his hat. He has it on his hat right here in this picture. Nope, not that one. It's not that one. Shit. I can't think of it right now for some reason. But anyways, they came to my town whenever we were devastated by the hurricanes back in 2020. Shit, he always plugs them in. I can't think of it. Right now. All right. So I told y'all I was going to play. Hold on, my computer's like, stop opening things. This, which was uploaded by KSL News on October 13th. And it says on October. Okay, so it is an anniversary, according to them. On October 15th, 1985, 2 people died in nail-riddled pipe bombs in Salt Lake City, Utah. The 2 killed were, and these 2 last names, I've seen these 2 last names in the Hamblin documents by the victims. It's these family names is what I'm seeing. Anyways, were Stephen Christensen and Kathleen Sheets. And soon after, police discovered that a 3rd person was hurt in a car explosion in Salt Lake City. That person was Mark Hoffman, and it would be shortly discovered that Hoffman was not another victim, but the primary suspect in the killings to cover up a massive forgery scheme that lasted for years. KSL TV is releasing archive footage of how the media reported these events, which inspired a hit Netflix documentary released in 2021. I've seen it. Okay, and so the chapter's historical disclaimer, initial report of bombing, press conference, 2 reported dead, police at the judge building, copycat threats. Oh, they like them copycat threats. Sheets killed at home, Christensen killed, company woes, bombing investigation, legislation for explosives, forgery connections. Here we go. Is it a psyop of its time? And we just, I mean, I didn't know there were people that, I mean, hell, I was like 7. Okay, so there's that. But let's learn. Come on.
This is Alexis Fernandez reporting live from the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. At this hour, representatives from the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office, Salt Lake City Police Department, the FBI, and
Aerial
the
recovery. Thank you.
Firearms are meeting to discuss the events that have happened today. What we're referring to, of course, are the 2 explosions, one at the Judge Building this morning and another at a home in Holiday. 2 people are dead and 2 people injured. Now, just a few minutes ago, Police Chief Bud Willoughby came out to talk with reporters and gave us some startling information. He said he does want to tell the public that this is not a case of what he said, a nut gone loose on the streets of Salt Lake Valley. What he did say is that the bombings that occurred today were done by a very sophisticated, planned assassin. He said the bombs were made to kill people for very specific reasons.
Now listen to this.
We're in business together, and some of those people were in one business. But that doesn't relate to the other possible motive that could be behind this.
What are the possible motives? Business motives.
One is business, and the other one has to do, very frankly, with the Salamander white paper.
In what way?
Just all the players.
Now, Chief Willoughby referred to the White Salamander papers. You'll recall that was a letter that Mr. Christensen gave to the Mormon Church, and it did have to do with evidence that showed that Joseph Smith, White Salamander led Joseph Smith to find the golden plates. It did cause a controversy within a faction of the church. Details on that connection right now are still sketchy.
But come to find out, it was really a frog. Okay.
One thing that Chief Willoughby did say is that there is evidence that both bombs were planted before 5:30 this morning. He said they were very, very sophisticated, as we said before, and that he believes that they were not done by a disgruntled employee or even an investor, that it was actually done by someone who was hired by someone else to kill people. Now, right now, he did say they do have a composite drawing. No suspects per se. They do have a composite drawing. They are not going to release that right now. They want to hold on to that drawing.
Again, no composite. I mean, no. Oh God, I forget what they say. I need the transcript. She said something about a composite. They are not going. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Sorry. Hate short-term memory loss. Now, right now, he did say that they do have a composite drawing. They are not going to release that right now. But I mean, how sure? He did say that there is evidence that both bombs were planted before 5:30. Okay. Oh, shit.
By a disgruntled this morning. He said they were very, very sophisticated, as we said before.
He said they were very, very sophisticated. By a disgruntled, okay, anyways, could be by a disgruntled employee or even an investor. So again, a composite drawing at this point, but they know what this killer intended. Just know
that it was actually done by someone who was hired by someone else to kill people. Now, right now, he did say they do have a composite drawing. No suspects per se. They do have a composite drawing. They are not going to release that right now. They want to hold on to that drawing for a couple of days to see if they can get any more information. They are going to hold a press conference in about 45 to 50 minutes, and we'll have full details tonight at 6 o'clock. This is Alexis Fernandez reporting live at the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. This is Alexis Fernandez reporting live from the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. Salt Lake City Police Chief Bud Willoughby is just preparing right now to give us a briefing concerning those 2 bombings today in Salt Lake City, one at the Judge Building downtown, one at a home in Holiday. 2 people are dead. 2 people have been injured. As I said, Chief Willoughby has been meeting with the past hour with other officials, and we're going to go to him right now for this briefing.
At this moment, we have a task force put together here in the Hall of Justice, in the task force is headed up by Captain Bob Jack of the County Sheriff's Department, and the two departments are joining forces into one because we definitely feel that there is a direct tie between both of the bombings here in Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City. We've also asked for assistance from the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Division of the federal government, and sitting beside me is Mr. Jerry Miller, who is the SAC. We've also asked assistance for work, that type of thing, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The investigation is continuing at this time. At about 10 minutes after 8 this a.m. in the Judd building downtown, a bomb was placed outside the offices of Mr. Stephen Christensen. And when Mr. Christensen reached down to lift the box up, the box detonated and killed Mr. Christensen. Later in the morning, the same type of a device, almost identical, was found on the walk next to the home of a Mr. Sheets in the Cove area of the valley, wherein Mrs. Sheets picked up a newspaper which was on top of the box, and that device detonated and killed Mrs. Sheets. There were two other people, one at both locations, that were slightly injured. Motives, there are two areas that we are centering our efforts on, and one is the financial dealings where both parties, both Mr. Sheets and Mr. Christensen, were involved in, and basically many other people. Those people who were involved in those business transactions have been contacted, and we've alerted those people and are helping them every way we can. The other motive we're getting information on has to do with the White Salamander letter, which is now in the possession of the LDS Church. More and more is coming in. We tend to believe more on the business transaction because more and more of the players are showing up in that investment and in that business than on the White Salamander letter. Speaking somewhat from experience of both ATF and Salt Lake City Police Department, the first thing we want to tell the public is, one, we don't have a person or persons out here who are going berserk and bombing everything that.
How do you know that?
Find. What you have is two very sophisticated.
Like, how do you know that you don't have that? Like, how do you know exactly what this person's motives are? Except for projecting, possibly.
Bomb devices that were purposely set to purposely kill individuals, even to the point that those boxes had the individuals' names written on the top of them. That we know.
Sound familiar? It should. It should. That's what I was like, you gotta be serious. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be serious. That was dumb. I swear, I'm not thinking straight. All right, let me make this move. Hold on just 1 second.
We cannot give you too much at this point in time.
Okay. So he had said, the first thing we want to tell you, the public, is one, we don't have a person or persons out here who are going berserk and bombing everything that they could find. What you have is two very sophisticated bomb devices that were purposely set to purposely kill individuals, even to the point that those boxes had the individuals' names written on top of them that we know. We cannot give you too much at this point in time. We do have some witnesses, of course. We do have a composite drawing from more than one witness, and we're looking at that at this time. And in the point in time we don't get some identification on that, what? And if we don't get some identification on that later this evening, we will probably most likely release that publicly to the media so that they can show this locally here and nationally. The other question came about that the bomb sophistication, in my opinion, as a professional police officer, I think it was very sophisticated. It's not something that someone can just put together. They should know, huh? It had to be one that the person who manufactured the explosives knew just exactly what they were doing. I don't doubt that. It was electrical in nature. It had a cap, it had batteries, and it had a triggering mechanism, both of them. So it's not something that somebody just like a hand grenade that you pull a pin and it explodes, or you light the end of a fuse. It was very sophisticated, put together, and it was meant, again, to kill. It was not meant for any other reason. How do they know that? Psychic. We will not know the type of explosives concretely until Mr. Miller's people from ATF, who are coming to Salt Lake City to aid us in this investigation, and I think they're coming out of San Francisco. So we will be able to give you more either later tonight or first thing in the morning. Wonder what, let's see. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. The main reason for this conference, though, is that I discussed quite a bit of information with the mayor this afternoon, the mayor's office, as well as the county for the commission office, my office, the FBI office, Pete's office. We're getting calls from people. It's frightened people, right? Mission accomplished. And people want to assure people that we do not have a mad person on the loose indiscriminately throwing bombs on the streets of this county and this state. These were manufactured, purposely manufactured, even to the point of a paid assassination type of a thing, of a murder. So how do they know that? Like, to me, I'm just like, well, okay, composite drawing. So with that, I'll answer some questions if you might have some. Are there still family members that might be in danger tonight, or are they being provided protection? Which is something I thought about with Erica Kirk, right? Which, I mean, they did file on behalf of her in Tyler Robinson's first hearing, I want to say, or it might have been, I don't know, one of the two. All of the family members that are involved, in as much as we know at this particular time, have been advised. Those people have been either sent to, or we have advised them what to do in order to protect. I really feel, and we really feel, both departments, that they accomplished what they wanted on these two. So they know for sure they got their target. Okay, targets. The exception that in the sheets matter in the fact that we feel, see how he's using we feel instead of we know? Yeah. That the bomb was in fact meant for Mr. Sheets, not his wife, Pristine Sheets, or Christine. I don't know. It says Pristine Sheets, but Chief, you said that you had a composite drawing. Do you feel that there is one suspect in the case, or that there were more than one suspect? At this point in time, we only have a composite of one person. We feel there are maybe more than one involved in the plot. We have that type of information, but there was only one person. Okay. I'll guarantee you that carried those bombs to the location. Were there only one person seen at both bomb sites, or was multiple witnesses to the one bomb person this morning? It's hard to talk somebody else's language. We know in the case of I'll let him talk. I'm starting to stutter.
One person seen at both bomb sites, or was multiple witnesses to the one bomb first this morning?
We know in the case of the bomb in the Judd building, it was an individual, a person. In the Cove area, I can't answer that at this time.
How many people are involved in the task force?
I can't give you exact. I'd say in excess of 40 will be assigned to it.
Could you please once again tell us why you do lean more towards the business side of this than what you want to do, and who was involved that has led me, or not necessarily your name, but why you do that way? The relationships between Christensen and Sheets on that map really matter.
Well, a lot of this is based upon information that the department is receiving through tips, telephone tips or personal contacts that the investigators have made throughout the day. And we are not...
Kind of like Richard Allen. Yeah. We're listening.
discounting the other, but we're saying right now it's almost a 60-40, 60 leading toward the business transaction rather than the white salamander letter. But we are not discounting that because the same players, the same people are involved in both. So,
how do they know that?
Oh, I would say in excess of 100.
Chief, Mr. Sheets and Mr. Christensen were in a business relationship. How recently did they break, and was there animosity between the two of them?
You've been listening to
We have no
Willoughby here at a briefing at the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. Says Mr. Willoughby said that he wants to warn the public there is not a person that is going out there arbitrarily bombing places. The two bombings that killed 2 people today were very carefully planned. They were very sophisticated and carried out, he said, by an assassin. We'll have full details tonight at 6 o'clock and on Primetime Access. This is Alexis Fernandez reporting live from the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. We now join the following program in progress.
Police search for suspects in a pair of deadly bomb explosions.
We'll examine a suggested connection between those murders and a controversial letter this evening on Primetime Access.
We'll hear from those who knew the victims and learn what police are saying next.
Isn't there always a letter? Such old music, right? This is so retro.
Who's this next?
2 bombs, 2 dead, and threats of more to come. That's the tragic total. Salt Lake County lawmen are adding up tonight after 2 separate bombing incidents that police say appear to be the work of one person. Police had no hint of what was to come until about 8:15 this morning when a powerful blast rocked the 6th floor of the Judge Building in downtown Salt Lake. A local financial consultant, Stephen F. Christensen, died in that explosion. Witnesses say he had stopped to pick up a package in the doorway of his office when the booby trap device went off. Investigators were still gathering evidence there when they got word of the second explosion. The scene was the holiday home of Gary Sheets, a former business associate of Christensen's. Sheriff's deputies say Sheets' wife, Kathy, was killed when she picked up a booby-trapped package left in the front yard of the home. Police are positive there is a connection in the 2 blasts, and we'll have more this Tuesday, October 15th. Good evening. I'm Shelley Thomas.
And I'm Vic Norris. Both city and county police departments, with the help of federal agents, are tracking down several leads in this bizarre case tonight. But the most obvious is the connection between Stephen Christensen and Gary Sheets. Both served as officers of Coordinated Financial Services, a financial consulting company that was reported to be in some financial trouble of its own. Police say they're following several avenues based on that connection, and they are sure of one thing.
What we've got is that we've got hired assassination.
Hired assassination?
I would say we have a hired assassination on people for a specific reason.
Hired assassination.
Business, police say they have one other possible motive. Christensen was well known locally as a collector of historical LDS documents, including one that recently caused quite a stir within the church.
I think the church was pissed off.
We're getting information on has to do with the white salamander letter, which is now in the possession of the LDS Church. More and more is coming in. We tend to believe more on the business transaction because more and more the players are showing up in that investment and in that business than on the white salamander letter.
2 other men, Thomas Moore Jr. and Richard James, both of Alpine, are also listed as officers of CFS. Police were dispatched to their home shortly after that second fatal explosion this morning. They warned the people of those residences and searched the residences and a nearby business, but reportedly found nothing.
The first incident in this chain of events came completely without warning. Our Richard Bingham was on the scene within minutes this morning in downtown Salt Lake, and he is at the Judge Building now with this live update. Richard?
Well, Shelley, in many cases, authorities get a warning, an advance warning that a bomb may be about to go off. But this time around, police say they had no advance notice that a bomb had been planted in this building. It was just minutes after the explosion when police, fire, and rescue units began arriving at the Judge Building on the corner of 3rd South and Main. The street was quickly blocked off, the building itself evacuated. Word that a second bomb might be inside triggered an intense search involving specially trained dogs.
He has a secretary that found a box addressed to our victim in another office, so I'm going to get that pointed out.
The secretary, Mary Alpin, apparently saw the explosion from her office on the 6th floor. She saw Steve Christensen pick up a package just outside his office door. It went off in his hands, and he took the full impact. Police believe it was a sophisticated bomb.
It was an explosive device. We don't
have the exact details on the explosive device at the present time. There's been some conflicting reports as to what type it is, so I'm not going to speculate on it.
Investigators say the device did extensive damage to the entry to Christensen's office, knocking the door off its hinges and sending shrapnel, bits of metal, into the walls. There was no fire. Witnesses say it was a big explosion.
A couple minutes later, the firemen come bursting in the door and said, "Get your things and go down the stairs and go outside." And
I've been learning from watching Peggy, her work. She's like, why are they smiling? Not on this video, but this is what stuck out to me was, why is she laughing? Why is she smiling? Okay, she's a witness to something very horrible. Why is she freaking smiling and all giddy?
There was no fire. Witnesses say it was a big explosion.
a couple minutes later, the firemen come bursting in the door and said, "Get your things and go down the stairs and go outside." And I realized it was in my building.
Well, my father and I were sitting there. We get into work early, and we were sitting there, and roughly about 8 o'clock, we heard some sirens, first of all, and it was just kind of normal sirens that we had heard. And then a few minutes later, we heard this big explosion, and the building shook.
Police are checking a report that a security lock at the entrance to the building may have been tampered with. Kelly Masells, an insurance salesman, works on the 7th floor of the Judge building. When he arrived for work at 6:30 this morning, the security door was wide open.
Smiling.
I've never experienced that before. It's like I said, if there has been work in the building, even they had to go in through the code. There's only a janitor and the management staff of the building that has the outside key. All of us have, instead of a key, is just the combination to the door.
At this hour, the 6th floor of the building is still off limit to everyone except for official investigators. There's still a few spectators around, but for the most part, this scene of tragedy is relatively quiet. Dick, Shelley?
Thank you. Richard Bingham from downtown Salt Lake. As
Okay, we're
often
almost
happens,
done.
reports of that first explosion spawned a rash of copycat threats, and at last
Oh,
count,
here we
9
go.
separate bomb threats had been turned into police in various newspapers and radio stations. Police say they have discounted most of those threats as hoaxes, but one received at the Deseret News seemed to be chillingly accurate.
You know,
said in case I didn't,
that one had to be the serious one because it was at KSL. It's an attack on Mormons. It's an attack on the church and church-owned businesses, like this Deseret News right here that she's standing in front of. I just realized that. I'm not trying to laugh at tragedy. Trust me, but don't try to. Let's just flip the script, though. Let's pretend that you're staging tragedies that actually do hurt and kill and harm and, affect real families and real victims, okay? But let's flip the script and let's just say, how effed up would it be if it was all a hoax and the joke is on us, but it was meant for them to garner sympathy and to shut up, don't question things, and for legislation to pass, taking your rights away more and more and more and more and more with each passing, with each psyop. It's disgusting. Again, Sharon standing in front of the damn Deseret News sign, out of all the hoaxes, this one had to be the real one. Just saying.
Deseret News seemed to be chillingly accurate.
And he said, in case I didn't take him seriously the first time, that the man who was killed, and he gave me a name.
Also,
and
I've been wanting to mention this. Where are all the grief counselors? You understand what I'm saying? Like that is normal. Usually grief counselors would go out if there's a mass shooting, something to calm people down. There's none of that in the Kirk situation. It's disgusting. Man, it sucks to live in a world like this, but it also sucks to not know that you're living in a world like this, I'd rather know and not be delusional and continue to buy their shit. You're supposed to size up the enemy, so you can contemplate the next move and when they're going to, pull the hatchet out on you. You never know. You never know.
And then he also said that name had not been released yet by the media.
The caller also said other bombs had been planted in the valley, but declined to say where.
That phone call might have proved prophetic when a short time later, the wife of the chairman of CFS was killed by a bomb intended for her husband. Kathy Webb Sheets died instantly when she picked up a bomb placed on a wooden walk between her house and...
I mean, how do they know it was intended for her husband? How do at this point, like, how do they know? Well, I don't know how many days later this is, so my bad. I don't know that for fact. Question it in that way.
Garage. Police say the device was triggered by movement and was equal in power to 1.5 to 2 sticks of dynamite. A newspaper covered the shoebox-size explosive, which had her husband's name written on it. Neighbors heard the blast and called police.
At about 20 minutes.
Oh, my question was answered. Her husband's name was written on it, just like Tyler Robinson's bullets. You know, they had that inscription. You know, there's always a letter. There's always a manifesto. There's always some bullshit. Gross.
10.
Neighbors heard the blast and called police. Triggered by movement and was equal in power to 1.5 to 2 sticks of dynamite. A newspaper covered the shoebox-size explosive, which had her husband's name written on it. Neighbors heard the blast and called police.
At about 20 minutes to 10, we heard a very compacted blast, strong one, thinking it was either a tree or something.
A whole bunch of leaves went down.
And then
so
a whole
I
bunch
thought
of
it was a
leaves
tree.
went from the tree.
Mrs. Sheets was a graduate of the University of Utah and taught school before becoming a full-time mother. Friends describe her as a fun-loving person with a great sense of humor. She is survived by her husband and 4 children. The first victim in today's bombing, Stephen Christensen, was also well known in his home community of Centerville. This afternoon, police had even thrown up a barrier around a neighbor's house there and were searching for a bomb there. Acquaintances described the 31-year-old father of 3, who was also an LDS ward bishop, as a hard worker and a good friend, and could not understand why anyone would want to kill him.
He was a kind, gentle, very compassionate person. He was always thoughtful of other people, and I don't know of anyone who didn't love him.
The Christensens are also expecting another child soon.
As we've reported, the strongest lead police appear to have is that business connection between Christensen and Sheets. Our business specialist, Dave Thompson, has been looking into coordinated financial services, and he is live in our newsroom with a report now. Dave?
Shelley, Coordinated Financial Services, or CFS, provides total financial planning services. That means it deals in investments,
Here we
property management,
go.
insurance, and real estate, among other things. It was the real estate syndications that have been causing the trouble. CFS, as one financial counselor in downtown Salt Lake put it, has been a house of cards waiting to topple for some time. Just last month, auditors declared CFS insolvent. Company investors were warned in a letter several weeks ago that CFS's net worth was about $6 million in the red. The company's 80 or so employees at the beginning of the year have dwindled down to about 25 now. Securities investigators, both state and federal, have received many complaints from investors in the last few months. The company helped professional people, mostly physicians, protect their income through real estate syndications, which, if they work out, can make both good sums of money and provide a tax shelter. In fact, recently it has not worked out. A number of real estate deals in Houston in particular went bad. Houston market is severely overbuilt, and the expected appreciation of property just didn't happen. CFS fell behind in its payments to its investors and its creditors. Our sources say that government regulators are concerned over the amount of commission CFS charged some of its investors, sometimes upwards of 35%. There are accusations of mishandling of investors' money, of mismanagement, even of money being spirited away. Let me add that these are allegations and are certainly not proven at this point. As far as we know, no formal investigation has been launched. But in the last 10 months, no less than 10 lawsuits have been launched against CFS, alleging this $40,000 promissory note or that $300,000 note have not been paid. In some cases, CFS has made new arrangements. In others, it has simply defaulted. The company set up a 3-person commission to try to reverse the company's bad financial position. As of today, that committee is still in the early stages of formulating plans. Shelley?
Dave, exactly how much money are we talking about?
On the order of about $400 million. There are about 1,100 investors. Some people say more, each averaging between $30,000 and $40,000 each. That multiplies out to be close to $400 million total.
Thank you, Dave. And we'll have more on today's bombings and any possible motives, what police are investigating, coming up on Primetime Access.
Welcome now to Primetime Access. I'm Bruce Lindsay. On this day of extraordinary news in Salt Lake City, we're going to devote most of the rest of this hour now to questions emerging from the bombing murders today. Just to briefly summarize again, the first device exploded just after 8 this morning here in the Judge Building, killing 31-year-old Stephen F. Christensen, a stockbroker and former officer of Consolidated Financial Services Center. The second bomb exploded outside the home of the president of Consolidated, Gary Sheets. The blast here killed his wife, Catherine Sheets, age 50. And the experts say, by all indications, the bombs were the work of professionals. Right now, we have one of those experts live with us from the Metropolitan Hall of Justice. We frequently see Al Britton in his role as Director of County Emergency Services. He is also an explosives expert and has been very much involved in this case today. Al Britton, good evening.
Good evening.
Tell me about the extent of the bomb squad in Salt Lake City. What do we have in the way of investigators?
Okay, the bomb squad in the Salt Lake County area, the Metropolitan County, is more of a cooperative effort. The Salt Lake City Police has 2 technicians. County Sheriff has a technician, myself with County Emergency Services, and several of the other incorporated cities, so that we ensure that we can cover the entire county at any given time. We work on a cooperative basis, and if one of us is out of town, then one of the other jurisdictions will move in.
How does the makeup of the bombs exploded today suggest that they were the work of professionals?
Well, at the present time, we don't have enough information on the bomb themselves. We're waiting for lab analysis. I think the best indicator would be the nature of the targets. It definitely wasn't vandalism like many times we have in this area.
I don't recall the last time we had a case that appeared to be a bomb directed at a specific individual. That's very rare in this area. Is that not correct?
Let me let that catch up, because I'm going to show you something real quick. I took the transcript from this video that we're watching. And I'm like, does the okay. Anyways, let me maybe write that different. Hold on. Shit. Does the Salt Lake City, let me update. Let me see what it says. Oh, wait. Because it said that based on public information, it did not know of any, there had not been any reports of an event called the Charlie Kirk shooting. I'm like, what? Are you high? I wish I would have not. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Based on public information, there has been no widely reported event known as the Charlie Kirk shooting. Are you serious? Like, what? Am I missing something? I don't think I am. I lost my audio again. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, I see my bubble. All right. Do you see this though? Based on public information, there has been no widely reported event known as the Charlie Kirk shooting. Okay. Because I'm like, are there any similarities? So a direct comparison cannot, and I mean, that parsed it twice. Anyways, there's that. But let's just see. However, I can provide a detailed analysis of the SLC bombing case based on the reports you provided, and then explain the true story that emerged after these initial reports. Anyways, let's see. As detailed in the 1985 footage, the investigation on the day of the crime focused on these key points. The crime: 2 separate, sophisticated pipe bombs killed Stephen Christensen at his office and Kathy Sheets at her home on October 15th, 1985. I need to go look and see what kind of a cult date this is. A cult, right? The bomb that killed Mrs. Sheets was intended for her husband, Gary Sheets, and they knew that because, it was addressed to him, because they could see that. You would think a bomb would destroy it. So how do you get a name off of a package or whatever it came in? And then how did it not destroy it? They just got the names off both weapons, both. Anyways. The method: police immediately identified the bombings as the work of a professional, calling it a hired assassination. Well, I mean, A lot of people said the same thing about Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson. The bombs were not random, but were specifically built and placed to kill the intended victims. Yeah, that's what that means. When you use a gun, when you use deadly force, that's what, that's what those things mean. I mean, with packages even bearing their names that didn't get destroyed in the bombing. Okay. Primary motive, theory 1, business collapse. The strongest initial theory was that the murders were linked to the financial collapse of Coordinated Financial Services. Both Stephen Christensen and Gary Sheets, both last names found in the Hamblin case, were former officers of the company, which was insolvent, facing numerous lawsuits, and had lost investors millions of dollars. But I bet it made investors millions of dollars off life insurance. Just saying. Police believed an angry investor or associate may have hired a killer. Yeah, me too. You know who I think? An investor in the Hoffman documents. That's who I think the angry investor is, or associate. Okay. In my opinion, the church. Secondary motive, theory 2, the White Salamander letter, a secondary theory centered on a controversial historical document known as the White Salamander letter, which should be the frog letter. Okay. This letter, which Christensen had acquired and later donated to the LDS Church, offered a version of Mormon history involving folk magic, but it's actually Solomonic magic. So there's a difference. Folk magic sounds like some bippity boppity shit. Solomonic magic is some hardcore shit, like what Chad was into, like what Joseph Smith was into. He was working on using the lesser keys of Solomon, like some hardcore black magic. That's what I've learned from Heidi Love. Investigators, which that contradicted the official church narrative. Investigators considered the possibility that the bombings were the work of a religious extremist angered by the letter's contents. Of course, but you can't. Yeah, any way to paint yourself as a victim. It's the same story. The real story: Mark Hoffman, master forger. The initial theories of a hired assassin or a religious fanatic were completely wrong. The investigation took a dramatic turn the following day when a third bomb exploded, because it just wasn't catching on like they needed it to, severely injuring a man named Mark Hoffman. He quickly became the prime suspect, and the true motive was revealed. The master forger, I'm sure he's a master. Somebody in here is a master something. Mason? I don't know. Mark Hoffman was not just a document dealer. He was one of the most skilled forgers in U.S. history. Takes one to know one. He had forged dozens of documents related to Mormon and American history, fooling experts and collectors for years. The White Salamander letter was his masterpiece of forgery. The real motive, desperation. Hoffman was not a hired killer. He was the bomber. By 1985, his fraudulent empire was collapsing. 1, he was deeply in debt. 2, he had promised to sell a non-existent collection of documents, the McClellan collection, to the LDS Church for a huge sum. His clients, number 3, especially Stephen Christensen, were demanding to see the collection and were becoming suspicious. Well, I mean, Steve, think about this as a drug deal, okay? Steve is like the middleman, and he's going to the crackhead, but he's getting the crack from a crack supplier, okay? So he's the middleman. I'm just saying. The cover-up. The bombings were a desperate and brutal attempt to create a diversion. Absolutely, I agree with that. I do. However, here we go. Hoffman murdered Christensen to stop him from exposing the fraud. I would say partly true. He murdered Kathy Sheets while targeting her husband, Gary. To mislead investigators, to mislead investigators into believing the bombings were related to the CFS business collapse. Well, how would he know that? How the hell would he know that? I mean, is that just common knowledge at that time? Internet wasn't a thing. Throwing suspicion off of himself. The downfall. The third bomb was an accident. It exploded in Hoffman's car. It was an accident, wink, wink. It exploded in Hoffman's car as he was likely moving it, and his injuries immediately made him the central figure in this case. Investigators uncovered his forgery operation. Where's the rest of all the people then if you're going to call it a fucking operation? All right. Okay, calm down with your cult talk and call, it's a doomsday cult. It's a, you know what I'm saying? They always hype it up when they need to. Operation. And he was ultimately convicted. I'm not surprised. In summary, the SLC bombings were not a hired assassination or an act of religious extremism, but a way to narrate I'm picking. They were the violent acts of a master forger, Mark Hoffman, trying to prevent the exposure of his crimes. Wow. All that came from the wiki page, huh? That they also are in charge of. Just know that. Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. No, definitely not. No. Oh, I'd love to talk to you. I would love to talk to you. It's deep. It's very inverted. Thank you. Hey, I'm weird with names. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I also found one, a name that was listed on a document. It's called the Manifesto. Wait, not Manifesto, but wait, I got to think of it. Hold on. Let me go back to this. I'm going to play and I'll go grab what I'm talking about. It's on Mormonish. And just know that here's where they're going to introduce, oh, well, now let's do restrictions, federal, da da da. Okay, so here we go, Today's events. Hold on. Slow down. God dang. They're so fast. Okay. Now, what they just went over was the fact that today's events may suggest there may be such a need. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's like once you see these, or once you become aware that these things even happen. And I didn't question the LDS church shooting in Michigan, but others have. And I'm like, whoa, shit. Like it's crazy. And it's also maddening. So I wanted to do this real quick too. Just to go back to listen a little bit to Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell jail phone call the day before the children's buried bodies were found in this one's backyard. Oh, Chad. This is that weird jailhouse call that's disgusting. But again, there's a lot of like a lot of the same words, phrases that are used, which makes me think this was also an op. I'll just say an opportunity to dupe people. It's like twofold. It's like to maybe sacrifice children, I don't know, for their own nefarious shit. And also get people to orchestrate. They love using that word, right? Remember how Lori and Chad use orchestrate? But who is the Tom Harrison? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is the MKUltra? I mean, now I'm like, okay, this is totally legitimate now. Ever since I posited that question as to whether that reading that was in Tim Ballard's lawsuit against him, it was a screenshot of that little reading, and I didn't know what it was at first. I thought maybe it was just Tim's prophecies or something, but it's really Tom Harrison allegedly, seemingly conducting an experiment or putting Tim Ballard under mind control procedures, techniques. It's very disturbing if it's true.
All right, thank you. Okay. Yes. He was asking what we're talking about. He's very optimistic. He's very optimistic. For both.
Oh, god dang. My internet sucks today.
He said, stick with it. Do what we projected.
Oh my god, what the hell?
That
Y'all are breaking my damn machine. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna close a couple windows out. How about that one that's taking 1.5 gigabytes? Yeah, that'll do it. Let's see. All right. See, and this, I just kind of noticed this. It was very optimistic for you, or he's very optimistic. It could happen. He's very optimistic for both of us. He doesn't know his own project timeline. He said, and stick with it. Do what? When he projected in that paper you wrote, that doesn't make sense. You know, house renovations always take longer than they think. That's the problem. I've been watching the extreme pools, and the people are like 3 months when they estimated they'd have it done. And they're like, we have so many problems, we can get to the backyard. We have to pull crane over the house to get these huge rocks for the waterfalls. I can remember last summer, Taylor Hill, Mark's friend, parents moved into a trailer, like a camping trailer, in their driveway because they were going to build their house by the end of the year. Guess where they're still at? They sold their house to their son, and it's just a weird situation. But you're exactly right. Yeah, it takes forever. Yeah, there's always something, but we didn't know when we dug in our backyard, we're going to find whatever. And then they're like, we have to redo all the piping. And then we had trouble with this, but when something else happened, but they try to make it sound like it wasn't really that long, but it's always like going to take 3 months. And then 3 months after that, they're like, okay, it took 6 months. You couldn't come in your back. You couldn't go. You could not go, not come. You couldn't go, come in your backyard at all. And now it's not summer anymore. Now it's winter and your pool is finally done. Mostly they do it Florida, places like that. Yeah. So he's optimistic about his construction problem or construction, no problems, but plan. Yeah. Construction plan, the blueprints. Okay. All right. The damn blueprints. Erica Kirk used, I want to say, blueprints in response to everyone, the backlash, from people criticizing her. She did say there's like no blueprint for grief or something like that. She wrote it on Twitter, X, whatever. The blueprints are still intact. Yeah, timing. And I kind of just said, I texted him, what you said is, you guys are always a little off, right? Exactly. We just want a real estimate. I feel like they thought that they were protected by the Brotherhood, okay, of the Mason type. Yeah, timing. And I kind of just said, I texted him, what you just, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, let me scoot down. We just want a real estimate, all right? What do you say? He just laughed. He did not confirm nor deny. That I found in Masonry literature myself. And I've heard George Bush say it. Chad even references George Bush, if y'all remember. Okay. But he did not confirm nor deny. This is some kind of code phrase in the brickery. I'll call it the brickery. The bricks, right? Oh, which makes me now think about Tim Ballard the other day when he said that the church threatened him with something about a pile of bricks. Remember that shit? Bricks. Masonry. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I will, Chris, and I will YouTube bad actors. I sure will. I will. I always do. I always check it out. Well, I didn't know you. Wait. Right here. Oh, Chase Hughes. Yeah, I have. Okay. About the Salt Lake City thing or the Charlie Kirk thing or Chad and Lori. I don't think many people, I've not seen anybody say anything about Chad and Lori's being a possible op besides, random things, but nothing even close to that. But like a lot of these things are happening at schools, universities. I mean, look at freaking what University of Utah is crawling with the 3-letter agency. He's bad. And which is where Tom Harrison worked. He worked there. He retired there. Well, I lie. I don't know if he retired there. He retired as allegedly as a therapist, but I don't know if he still teaches there or not. I needed to look. Anyways, interesting, right? So he's bumping and he's rubbing shoulders with 3-letter government agencies on campus and in the church. So it's like, okay. Yeah, that tracks. Okay. He did not confirm nor deny that fact that contractors are always the leader than they think they're going to be. That doesn't make sense. He's like, it'll work out. You know how he is. You did want me to say he misses you. See, now they're trying to play it off as if they're talking to dead Alex. That's where I've never thought that they were talking to dead Alex, but you have to make it fit the conviction narrative, and that's where a lot of these things go under the radar. because we're not hearing it legally. It is considered conspiracy. It is considered deep state. It's considered hogwash and bullshit, you know? Because that's how it was designed to be. And it works time and time and time and time again. I'm not closed-minded. I want to know. I want to know all the things. Whether it's going to hurt my feelings, hurt my worldview, hurt my reputation for reporting on it, you know, and sharing what I find, no matter what, you know, I don't care. I really don't. I want to know why my family died, why they were murdered, why all this had to be. I said that I was going to find I was going to expose those who have my family's blood on their hands. That's what I'm doing. Okay. I lost my spot. Okay. You did want me to say he misses you, but he did want me to say he misses you, but he's not far from, contact. We can talk. We can text him whenever he wants. I like how he changed that. Yeah, I can't text anybody context or via text, whatever. You want to text for me. That's like me telling you, I need you to tell this person, talk to this person. I'll text him back, but he's optimistic. This must be some code word here. I want to go visit him and grab him by the throat and say, really? Can he? I know he's optimistic, but can he just make us any guarantees? We did make our down payments, which I believe are the sacrifices of the children, and possibly Melanie's children were on their way, and everything else. Guarantee. I would like a guarantee. Just an end date of our project. Well, he knows you pretty well. He just laughs. No, I asked him what he thought about the video project. She's trying to change the subject. He said it was really nice. He loved it. She says, detective here. Oh.
Your investigation, you were the video put out about Alex.
Let's watch it.
Shortly after Alex Cox died, his sister Summer Shiflett made a YouTube video with clips of Alex throughout his life, put it to music. So we that.
Oh, I forgot to mute.
But that's
thank you, Daisy.
Judge, I'm going to check.
It's the video? What? Nobody's told me anything. Hold on. I was having to mute myself because it was an echo. My email is kresha0123@gmail.com. And I'm trying to find my damn banners here. Okay. Because I have it, where I can just throw it up. Oh, that's not it. I got it. Hold on. There it is. Okay, back to, I think it's muted again. The video is muted, so y'all weren't hearing it. Okay. Oh, Davis, that's for you. I'm sorry. I thought it was Chris that asked that. So what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna try and just play. Y'all let me know if it echoes. Okay. I don't know. Things changing while I'm live. That's crazy. Ugh.
Oh yeah. All this.
The last two videos? Oh my god. Oh my god. Like the Salt Lake City one? What the fuck? Oh my god. That's horrible. I mean, I'm not doing this for fun, you know? StreamYard? Damn. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go. I can't, it's already 3 hours, of course. It's going to be 3 hours or more. I swear. So, the Salt Lake City bombing, y'all didn't hear that one or half of it or something? I don't know what to do. All right. So, basically, I think this is them talking in brickery, okay, in the Brotherhood. They're talking, I believe that's what they're saying. I think that's what's going on here, and I think I'll have to look more into it. This could be right here. I thought it was a combination problem, could be a secret combination. You understand? Because they think they're rooting out the wheat and the tares, which Tim Ballard basically refers to those now. Like Lori and Chad said, zombies and dark spirits possessed. I think Tim is using it lukewarm as the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, this is raccoon is one of the words that they referred to, that Chad referred to Tylee as a raccoon. Raccoons are it's a racial slur to say that someone's black. And so there you go. A raccoon in his text to Tammy was saying that he shot a raccoon, someone that was dark, a zombie, a lukewarm, a dark spirit. You understand? But these combination things, that's the secret combination now that I'm realizing that. Yeah, we'll have to revisit this again soon because minor changes here and there, but overall this is part of the blueprint. And oh yeah, I just wish it hadn't been. But I'm thinking of previous blueprints, okay, where the people weren't either sad. What? I need to listen to this in context. But there's the other part. I mean, I want to know how many more victims is what I'm saying. Yeah. JJ. Yeah, JJ. JJ. September 22nd or 23rd. Yeah. I bet you wish you hadn't said I do to her. Where the hell are we? In the script here. Wish you would catch up. Okay, here it is.
Blueprint.
Okay. Why is it not staying highlighted? I wish it hadn't been part of the blueprint. weren't warned either. Okay. I just wish it hadn't been, but I'm thinking of previous blueprints where the people weren't warned either. So that's just a typo. You know what I mean? You know how good these these captions really are. And in fact, I find it interesting that Google, YouTube, like every time they would say Garth's name or somebody's name with a G, okay, it would just type a G. And I'm like, why? You know, like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what channel. It'll just type a G. And I'm like, is that designed that way so that Google, you know, doing a keyword? I don't know. It's just me pondering things. But I just wish it hadn't been. But I'm thinking of previous blueprints where the people weren't warned either. That's crazy. Come on.
Maddening.
It's maddening or saddening? Let me see.
Maddening.
Might be maddening. Could be saddening. He's done this before for sure. Remember whenever I found that sign on Chad Daybell's wall and that red barn thing, you know, when Nate Eden walked through right before it was ripped down the next day? It said Ray's playpen though, you know, and I'm like, ew. Like, and if Alex was Ray, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe so. Maybe they kind of interchange. I don't know. And just be fluid and whomever and whatever they have to be in order to you know, advance the conspiracy and wreck shop. And it's not gonna drop us for another project. Well, can't he like forcibly use a hand, punch some people in the face and get some things done? Okay. Some people in particular, like the 3%er person, I mean, which I haven't found what that means yet, you know, within Freemasonry, but I don't think he wants to be violent. But, well, I'm not saying be violent. I'm saying that get their attention. Me too. What he did, it's kind of mute her effect. What? Hold on. Get it in context.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Get their attention.
Inside speak.
What kind of user effect?
Huh. Okay. He says, I don't think he wants to be violent, but, well, I'm not saying be violent. I'm saying get their attention. Me too. What he did is kind of mute her effect. Who's her? Kept her in her place.
For a while. Point. Almost to value.
This kind of kept her in her place for quite a while, to the point it almost diffused any value of her talking about that in the beginning, you know, going back over the whole blueprint and all the things that we've been, you know, I don't know what the word is. You know, when you go through it anyway, a lot of that stuff could have been avoided, just minor tweaks. Yes. I don't know why I had to go down this road to where we are now in the project. I know. I don't fully understand. I think he'd text you back or write you back. Ultimately, what I need from you is that the project is going to be finished and everything is going to be fine and it's going to work out. That's what he said. I need you to tell me that every day, several times. Okay. My sweet lovely. No things are, oh wait, no things. That's true. No things are going to work out. Things are going to work out, not just because he said so, but because I know so. Yeah, it's a marvelous plan. This is phraseology that they use. Marvelous plan. There's Dean Sessions, who was part of the Preparing People, Rod Meldrum Firm Foundation. Really good friends with Rod. And he has, of course, I'm not going to remember it right now, but it's something to do with marvelous. And how do you know? How do I know? It's been shown to me, honey. I've seen those beautiful eyes filled with tears as she sings to amazing groups of people. And I see that. Wonderful. Why do you dance to heavenly songs? Your Honor. Okay. All right. So I'm just saying, I know that took quite a bit of time, but all that. And we're not going to go too far into this because I really don't know much about it, but let me pull it up. Oh, let me go back. Hold on. Let me open it in a new tab.
Three officers shot his friends in the parking lot of the LDS church. Ariel is on scene now. Ariel, what happened? Ultranet still.
Mine too. Mine too.
Center of the investigation. It's unclear what role the church plays in this, but what we know so far is that
yes, it's true.
Involving officers here around 4 o'clock this afternoon. The entire church is currently taped off with dozens of cars, both marked and unmarked, blocking the side of the street as well. Still open. Traffic
oh my
is
God.
impacted. Closer to the building of the church, we can see a black tent that appears to be blocked off with a partition that appears to be part of this investigation. A very limited information is being shared with us at this time. It's unclear what led up to the shooting or the current condition of any suspects. We do know no officers were injured. It's unknown how many of them were involved. Over to our left, dozens of law enforcement officials are beginning to discuss. But the East Valley Critical Incident Response Team is already on scene. They respond to all officer-involved shootings and will lead this investigation. In this case, that is the Mesa Police Department. Since we've been here, we've seen some of those detectives walking around this parking lot, and they even put a drone up in the last few minutes. We can see it up there over the trees. So again, just in the very early stages, they're still collecting a lot of information. So we will be out here. We're expecting to hear from police. They can't give us an update in time yet on when they'll be able to come over here and speak with us. But as soon as we get more information on what happened, we'll share that with you. So stay with 12 News on air and online. Live and good. You're able to hear about 12 News. We continue to track 2 deadly shootings of what happened this first. We said.
Sorry.
Continue to track 2 deadly shootings involving police yesterday. First, happening in the MKUltra campus. Police said they are performing matching the suspect's description. An officer thought he saw the man carrying a gun and tried talking with him before the shooting happened. It's still unclear if that man was armed with fire officers. And the other shooting happened outside in Milton's church in May. Police say officers initially responded to him. Latest on this investigation. There's still a lot of unanswered questions about what exactly happened yesterday, but we now know the man who was killed is 72-year-old Bradley Boyer. The shooting happened in this parking lot of LDS Church in Chandler Heights and Elmsville Road, but police did confirm to me just about an hour ago that the church has no involvement in the incident. It was just a random location for the shooting to happen. Boyer came into contact with police after a family member called 911 with concerns that he was suicidal. The caller directed officers to a home near Apatio and Ironwood Drive around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. When officers arrived, Boyer was not home. They later found him about 2 miles away in the church parking lot. He was allegedly armed at that time and shooting with
there were some people in the area that officers did have to deal with, but get some more information out there on the specific details of why there. I can't get too much of that. We have other people here.
We've also had 3 officers fired their weapons. None of them were injured. Chief Price could not elaborate on what de-escalation efforts were used to try and
So anyways, I don't know too much more than that. And I know I've gone very long. Do not call police to a mental health situation. This is what can happen. I thought everyone knew that by now. Call behavioral health workers to a mental health situation. That's part of the brokenness. I believe in this too, where you have informed first responders, whether that means having mental health workers available on each call or ones that respond to those, because this has affected my own brother, where the police respond, he gets taken away, brought to the hospital first, and then they go put him in jail. And that's not a good rehabilitation place, or it's not suited to deal with mental health crises. Police officers doing their job. Thank you for your service. God bless you all. Amen. Amen is right. Usually, are we supposed to know what LDS means? Exactly. Is that the actual name of the church? I've heard this multiple times in your recent videos covering the story. The full name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's why everybody says LDS. Okay. Can you please send the notice to your higher ups, because they want it to not, they want, like, when people talk about them, this is my theory. When people talk about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they know search engine optimization. They have experts who deal with social media, they sharpen it, they hone in on it. They own stocks in these companies. Okay. They own stock in Google, YouTube. They own stock in iPhones, Apple, IBM, Microsoft, They know, they make billions of dollars off of it. And the church, it's just, these are their side businesses. They make money off of life insurance policies. They make money off their members. They make money off of everything. They're saving it for the second coming of Jesus Christ, they said. Anyways, let me say this real quick. Chris, going back to what I was saying earlier, there's this name. If anybody knows, I don't know if it, and I have to check it, but that we had said something earlier where names just kind of, I don't know. I see a name, a last name or whatever, and I see it somewhere else. I'm like, ooh, that sounds familiar. And I try to match it up. Well, right here, it says, I saw this last name in Snellgrove right here, Snellgrove. I saw this last name somewhere in the Charlie Kirk case the other day. And it's in Utah, and that's where it happened. So it's like, really? But these were the delegates who would have received a copy of, oh my God. These are recipients who were the delegates who would have received a copy at the Republican convention. They were nearly all LDS business leaders and elected officials and community leaders that ended up getting this 1988 Christian Family Manifesto, which would then in 1995 become the proclamation for the family, or to the family, in 1995. So where did the LDS Family Proclamation come from? Turns out, spoiler alert, came from Jerry Falwell. Okay, then I'm going to be looking into the Seven Mountain Mandate. This is some crazy shit out here. Oh, also right here it says, I said this the other day, but if you didn't join us the other day on Sunday, I saw my Uncle Charles's attorney, Steve Ellsworth, right here. Okay. He would have received this at the Republican convention from the church, the 1988 Christian Family Manifesto, which was basically getting, in my opinion, to just be frank about it, is that it's a New World Order template for all these churches to dupe everybody with. Okay. And they just had to tailor it to their specific language, especially in Mormonism, not so much Christian movements, but more Mormonism, because they have their own speech. They have their own talk. So I like Tupperware. Oh my God. No, they weren't amused. I bet not. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, whew. The moral of the story is, I think Tom Harrison, it looks like he used MKUltra techniques on Tim Ballard. Manchurian candidate, a Mormon Manchurian. Did they do this to Mitt Romney? Did they do this to, I mean, come on. I didn't think of the term. You know, this term exists already. So it's not like I'm just making some shit up. You know, it's like, this is what's happening. And believe it or not, that's up to you. I'm not asking you to believe the things that I'm sharing here. Do your own research. It's important that we all do our own research, but we have to question everything, and then share it with our community, people that we we cross paths with, because we're not in the club. They're in the club and we ain't in it. And the sooner we can spread that message, they're threatened already. You know, I hate to be like they, but I'm talking about those who run this place. We have to be smarter than the tools we're working with. We have to be smart and stop worrying about who's right and who's wrong, who's being a damn conspiracy theorist. Okay. Which actually equates to just being a critical thinker. So I would say commend yourself for being a critical thinker and for questioning everything. If your family has ever fallen victim to these kind of heinous crimes, I don't want that to happen in order for you to dig and ask questions. So it's like, come on. Let's make their blood count. Let's make their deaths count. Like, that's what this is all. We're supposed to learn, not continue to cycle, you know? Okay. My dad is asking me to do this. Actually. Wow. I'm so sorry. Learning the hard way, right? Proactive instead of reactive. Yep. I'm sorry, but that reminds me that I need to get back in touch with my dad and say, come on, let's go do the damn wheel. Okay. He had to deal with it too, from my Uncle Steve dying, and a bunch of bullshit, you know, the same old bullshit, different day. But anyways, thanks for hanging with me. I don't know. I need to do more of these so I don't make them so damn long, but I can't help it. We have 33 in chat. I hope that you will all 33 in Freemasonry fashion. Please hit the like button. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, we got to talk about the Shriners. My best friend's grandfather, who we used to go over there all the time, he was a Shriner. I'm like, oh my God. There's on the in the Vallow family, on the Vallow side, I believe there's Freemasonry in there. And I'm like, of course there is. Was Uncle Charles a Freemason? You know, that was his attorney that was just on that manifesto thing. But I mean, they did him right. I'm not saying they're all nefarious. I'm not saying they're all bad. Nobody is. Don't blanket that over anybody. Don't just leave that on me. Don't blanket that. You don't blanket that on anybody else. Just know you have to learn to discern. We have to learn to sharpen that shit, because people who aren't critical thinkers, who are just looking for somebody to follow, as in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they're looking for a prophet to follow. They just ushered one in today, the new prophet, which is Elder Oaks, who was actually friends with Tom Harrison. I just learned, because I went back and listened to a podcast that Ryan Fisher did with Lauren at Hidden True Crime. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Now he's the prophet. But he's friends with all of them anyway. So there's that part. It's not going to really help us. Just know that these things happen. Don't be complacent, because that's the shit that gets us tripped up. Stay astute, my friends. I put my free Masonless finger on the light. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of analogy for that. Oh, and the other day I shared that, you know how Chad came up with the whole loin fire? I know, right? I know. When he said it's a scientific phenomenon, I found scientific phenomenon in Freemasonry literature. And I'm like, well, there you go. Yeah. And listen to On My Way to 808. Everyone, make sure your parents have a living will. I repeat, make sure your parents have a living will. And we'll end on that note. Justice for our parents, justice for our siblings and everybody and us and the world, justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, Joe, and Brandon and everybody else. Love always wins. You guys are proof of this. See y'all next time.